We're going to stand, face Jerusalem. Catty corn. How do you call it? Catty corn.
Our Father which art in heaven.
Our Father which art in heaven.
Hallowed be thy name.
Hallowed be thy name.
Thy kingdom come.
Thy kingdom come.
Thy will be done in earth.
Thy will be done in earth.
As it is in heaven.
As it is in heaven.
Give us this day our daily bread.
Give us this day our daily bread.
And forgive us our debts.
And forgive us our debts.
As we forgive our debtors.
As we forgive our debtors.
And lead us not into temptation.
And lead us not into temptation.
But deliver us from evil.
But deliver us from evil.
For thine is the kingdom.
For thine is the kingdom.
And the power.
And the power.
And the glory.
And the glory.
Forever.
Forever.
In Jesus' holy name we pray.
In Jesus' holy name we pray.
Amen.
We got to plug the mic up and everything.
Exodus 20, verses 1 through 17.
What's the name at the stand that usually be up here? I'll put it on this one.
Do Exodus 20, verses 1 through 17. And God spake all these words, saying, I'm the Lord thy God, which have brought thee out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage. Thou shalt have no other gods before me. Thou shalt not make unto thee any graven image, or any likeness of anything that is in heaven above, or that is in the earth beneath, or that is in the water under the earth. Thou shalt not bow down thyself to them, nor serve them. For I, the Lord thy God, am a jealous God, visiting the iniquity of the fathers upon the children, unto the third and fourth generation of them that hate me, and showing mercy on the thousand of them that love me, and keep my commandments. Thou shalt not take the name of the Lord thy God in vain, for the Lord will not hold him guiltless that taketh his name in vain. Remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. 6 days shalt thou labor and do all thy work. But the 7th day is the Sabbath of the Lord thy God. In it thou shalt not do any work. Thou nor thy son, nor thy daughter, thy manservant, nor thy maidservant, nor thy cattle, nor thy stranger that is within thy gates. For in 6 days the Lord made heaven and the earth, the sea, and all that in them is. And rested the 7th day. Wherefore the Lord blessed the Sabbath day and hallowed it. Honor thy father and thy mother, that thy days may be long upon the land which the Lord thy God giveth thee. Thou shalt not kill. Thou shalt not commit adultery. Thou shalt not steal. Thou shalt not bear false witness against thy neighbor. Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's house. Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's wife, nor his manservant, nor his maidservant, nor his ox, nor his ass, nor anything that is thy neighbor's.
All right, bless Sabbath.
Peace. Peace. Oh, I still don't get that. That's crazy.
It's right there.
I know, right? Bless Sabbath. Sorry, we're getting to a late start. Sorry, not sorry. It was a big old accident on the freeway. It looked like it was people shooting on the freeway. I guess it got to get much worse than that. People having shootouts on the freeway. I guess it got to get way more worse than that for people to realize that we're in tribulation already. But, you know, it'd be good. Let's read Tribulation. I know this ain't really got, the title of the lesson, Apostles Doctrine, but being as though I did make a statement yesterday while we were live on the Sabbath Night Lights because everybody been talking about the wilderness for the past. I mean, because we did a lesson on the wilderness 3 weeks ago, and then 20 more lessons came out. It seemed like, I'm not saying literally 20, but it was, no coincidence, because obviously people watch what we do and try to oppose everything we do. But they would be working for somebody else, and I can't call it God, whoever they working for, regardless of who they believe they working for. But anyway, we did a lesson on the wilderness showing how most of these passages we are commonly taught are referred to as Zion, and I did make a mention of Revelations 12 and taking a look at what that means, because that's the verse everybody's hanging on to tell them to leave the United States and every other country other than Jerusalem, in whom Jesus was speaking about, and the people of the land at a certain time. He was talking to the people in Judea, according to the scriptures. There's no other place in the Bible that says anything other than what people being in Judea fleeing. It don't say about no other place. And even with all that being said and read out of the mouth of Jesus, you go to one verse and then people are like, yeah, well, explain this then. Regardless, it could be pointing to another event. The Pope can go to Jerusalem in the future. That don't have nothing to do with you leaving any other country you are in. It's still going to be the same scripture. Those that be in Judea flee into the mountains. If you are not in Judea, don't worry about it. What did Revelation 12 talk about? Okay, cool. We got the origin and significance of the flight to Pella tradition. So this is an oral tradition of accounts of individuals fleeing Jerusalem starting in 66 AD, because that's when the Roman persecution started. It completed in 70 AD. See, we only really hear about the destruction or the complete destruction in 70 AD. We don't even take account on when it actually started in 66 AD. So sometime in 66 AD to the complete desolation in 70 AD, you will get 3.5 years in which people had to flee. So we got some accounts here of people fleeing. This is, again, the origin and significance of the flight to Pella tradition. Notice it's printed out. You know what this means? You can go online and do it yourself. Research it yourself, right? Also, we got Decapolis, which is where Pella is located. So I'll read this. It says the Decapolis was a 10-city Greco-Roman federation or league occupying all of Bashan and Gilead in northeastern Palestine, and is mentioned 3 times in the New Testament. Even Brother Stead, he got a picture of the Decapolis on his phone. So it says created under Pompey the Great about 64, 63 BC. As part of its eastern settlement, the league provided a formidable means of defense on the eastern frontier of the empire. Such leagues existed in other parts of the Roman Empire for purposes of trade and mutual what? Protection. Let's see some of the places up here in Decapolis. Philadelphia. We were on Clubhouse last night. A brother mentioned Philadelphia, in which in Revelations 3 and 10, he said to the church of Philadelphia, "I'm gonna keep you away from the hour of temptation, which is to try the world." Well, Philadelphia is one of the places located around this area, Decapolis. The Philadelphia, Gerasa, Gadara, Pella, to which the Christians fled. This is just the article. This is the Decapolis. It'll tell you, type in the Decapolis, and you'll be able to print this stuff out. It mentioned Pella, to which the Christians fled just before the destruction of Jerusalem. Then you got Dion, Raphana, Damascus, Kenatha, Hippos, and Sictopolis, city of the Scythians, the only one of the 10 cities on the west of Jordan. So again, it pointed out Pella as a place Jews or Christians, fled just before the destruction of Jerusalem, which will line up with what we can read in Luke 21 and Matthew 24, Mark 13. I'm pretty sure everybody's familiar with it. But again, you can feel free to research on your own. Again, it's printed out. So you can go you free to go on the internet and do the same. You got another one, eschatology studies. It says preterism. I guess that's what they labeling us as, because people try to box you into something, thinking they can, I guess trying to get you or something. I don't know. But Jesus is not back, and we know that. So these people called preterists, they believe everything's done, like Christ came back and all that. No. But they do got some compelling arguments, and they do their research. But anyway, it said, did all the Judeans, Christians flee to Pella? And there's some articles on this. So it's called Pursuing Truth, Eschatology Studies, Preterism, and more. Brother CEO, you ain't no preterist, but you're reading some of that preterist. Man, don't research it then. Then again, another article. It's called Pella, A Window on Survival. And this is recorded if I'm speaking too fast. But you can all print this stuff out. Nobody's trying to hide information or trick anybody and get people caught up in the tribulation and trying to, that's weird. So we putting it out there, the info, go read it, go research it. But anyway, I said I was going to read the word tribulation. Because if it don't say great in front of it, it must not be that bad. It says, this is the definition of the tribulation. This is dictionary.com. Tribulation, grievous trouble, severe trial, or suffering. And that's just the word tribulation. So let's grab one of these words. Let's look at severe. Severe, harsh, unnecessarily extreme, serious or stern in manner or appearance. No, that's good. It said harsh, unnecessarily extreme. And Jesus Christ said, when you see Jerusalem compassed about with armies, it's going to be great distress, which is another word for tribulation, and wrath upon his people. And in Matthew 24, he just called it simply great tribulation. And we see in the definition, it's harsh, severe, harsh, unnecessarily extreme. Now we can read in the last 2 million years about 70 AD and the Roman persecution. It's 70 in the book, The Last 2 Million Years. It's titled, the particular study or the particular history on our people in 70 AD is titled Faith Survives the Dispersion, and mentions Titus coming through with the Roman armies, making it desolate. And it even said in that article or that study that worse was yet to come. And you can look through the history of our people going through slavery and how we were treated, scattered throughout the world. Unnecessarily extreme and harsh punishment we received started with 70 AD. And now we got it spread, and it, this tribulation spread throughout all the earth. They just took the chains off you. Now you're being oppressed in wages. You work all day, you work all week, and you don't have enough to pay your bills and eat. You can't do both. If that's not tribulation, I don't know. You got people in certain parts of the world can't eat at all. You got certain countries eating dirt cookies, but we're not in tribulation because it ain't hit America yet or something. Oh, because you're waiting on that new Toyota Camry to drop and you about to go spend, let me drop that $2,000. Okay, maybe, I don't know. I don't know what you're expecting. You might be part of the problem. Maybe that's why you can't see it. I don't know. But there's people really going through real life tribulation. But we could be tripping though. But anyway, I'll read some history. Let's go to Revelations 12. And if you at home watching or whatever you're doing, feel free to type in 538 AD and the transition from pagan Roman Empire to Holy Roman Empire. Justinian's metamorphosis from chief of staff to theologian. Justinian was an emperor, and he strengthened or made way for the papacy to control the Roman Empire. When Rome became weak, it was strengthened through the papacy, and it would continue for 42 months, 3.5 years, prophetically, or 1,260 days, or 1,260 years. So we should find one of those. So let's go to Revelation 12. And it's a lot of times the fleet in 1,260 years though. But so any way you slice it, it's totally up to you. But follow, keep, believe in Jesus, keep the commandments, love your neighbor. That's the most important thing on the list. And we're going to establish that today with the Apostles Doctrine. But anyway, Revelations 12:1. Go ahead and read.
And there appeared a great wonder in heaven, a woman clothed with the sun, and the moon under her feet, and upon her head a crown of 12 stars.
Right, and we know based on Genesis 37, this is referring to Israel, the people Israel. Okay, and whoever is joined to them. We're not going to exclude all the servants of God. So he's just recognizing Israel, because when all the other nations come to serve God, they are coming under the banner or the umbrella of Israel, which is the church. All right, verse 2.
And she being with child cried, travailing in birth, pain to be delivered.
Yes, sir.
And there appeared another wonder in heaven, and behold, a great red dragon, having 7 heads and 10 horns.
Now, in this verse, is it separating the dragon from the 7 heads and 10 horns, or is it letting us know what the dragon is? Which one you think?
Let us know what it is.
Okay, let's read it one more time so nobody confused.
And there appeared another wonder in heaven, and behold, a great red dragon, having 7 heads and 10 horns.
And we know this to be based off of Daniel, the 7th chapter. And we're going to go back there and see something there. Verse 4.
And this tells you the third part of the stars of heaven.
And like we discussed last week or the week before, and it's tells you the third part of the stars of heaven. This is where people say Satan got a third of the angels. I mean, you could believe it. If you see it that way, you see it that way. But or he could have jumped to Satan himself. But in verse 3, it was talking about the dynasty, the Gentile dynasty, and specifically Rome with the 7 heads and 10 horns. It was complete with them. But let's keep reading. Go ahead.
And did cast them to the earth.
Uh-huh.
And the dragon stood before the woman, which was ready to be delivered, for to devour her child as soon as it was born.
Now, what happened when Christ was born? Herod tried to kill him, right? Who was Herod set up by? The Romans. Okay, just trying to work this thing on down. Go ahead.
And she brought forth the man-child, who was to rule all nations with the rod of iron. And the child was caught up unto God and to his throne.
Uh-huh.
And the woman fled into the wilderness.
There it is. So this is what everybody hung up on. One verse. I mean, we've been taught not to just go off one verse, but I guess people choose, what they want to do and they choose it for everybody. They make up the rules for your life and how you see the Bible. We're not gonna do that over here. So if you see it a different way than we see it, we're not gonna talk about your name. We just you believe it that way, that's fine. But it's saying the woman fled into the wilderness. What woman? What woman?
Where she had the place prepared of God.
Instead, what woman fled into the wilderness?
The people.
Yeah, the woman we read about in verse 1. Israel, the church. He fled into the wilderness. They say when Christ got sent up or caught up to the throne of God, what did it say? And the woman fled into the wilderness. There's no time on it, how long it took. It ain't giving us no time in between when he got caught up and when they got sent out. But we know in history, Christ was redeemed back to the Father, or taken back to the Father. And then what came after, about 40 years after, Israel had to flee out of there. And he said, when you see Jerusalem compassed about with armies, you better flee. And then he said they're going to lead you into captivity. He said you're going to go into captivity in all the places of the earth. Well, where are we now? Are we in Israel now? We ain't nowhere near there. But again, we got articles to show you 66 AD, people did flee to a wilderness. So if you see it in a literal 3.5 years, talk about 70 AD, well, you got some history or to back that claim up. So it said, and the woman fled into the wilderness where she had a place prepared of God that what?
That they should feed her there 1,203 days.
So they was gonna feed her for 1,260 days. So this is where everybody get told that the Great Tribulation is only for 3.5 years. I mean, are we seeing that in this verse? Are we seeing that this is the Great Tribulation and then the wilderness during the Great Tribulation for 3.5 years? I mean, I don't know. But let's see where he's getting this stuff from. Let's go to Daniel 7. Trying to be as thorough as possible. Daniel 7. Daniel 7. And let's see. Which one is it? Daniel 7 and verse 7. Daniel 7 and verse 7. Go ahead.
After this I saw in the night visions, and behold, a fourth beast, dreadful and terrible, strong exceedingly, and it had great iron teeth. It devoured and brake in pieces, and stamped the residue with the feet of it. And it was diverse from all the beasts that were before it, and it had 10 horns. I considered the horns, and behold, there came up among them another little horn, before whom there were 3 of the first horns plucked up by the roots.
Right.
And behold, in this horn were eyes like the eyes of man, and a mouth speaking great things.
Right. So it said, I considered the horns, and behold, there came up among them another little horn, before whom there were 3 of the first horns plucked up by the roots. You could go into history. Again, I'm just putting it on the table. You feel free to go research on your own. The Ostrogoths, the Vandals, and the Huruli opposed. They opposed Rome and the papacy being a supreme. They rejected that order. So they got removed. It wasn't it wasn't even about no religious thing. They just opposed what was going on at that time, and they had to be removed. But we can see at this time, this is when the papacy began to be established, and it was being established by Justinian. So we'll take a look. So this is 538 AD, and the transition, as I told you to type this in the internet, 538 AD in the transition from pagan Roman Empire to Holy Roman Empire, Justinian's metamorphosis from chief of staff to theologian. So this is the abstract. It's going to tell you what's going on here. You feel free to read this whole thing. It's 42 pages, not that long. But it says the year 538 AD became the turning point in the history of the Roman Empire, since so many aspects on political, administrative, and economical levels were already switched off, that when Justinian declared himself to be a theologian from this year, no longer a soldier, he crossed the barrier of his mandate between what is purely civil obligation and what is religious obligation. Similarly to Constantine before, and entered in competition with the papal function, and this role is evident of Justinian's ongoing Caesaro-papism, the quest for unification of the empire by unification of the church, the fever for church building projects with his wife Theodora, the persecution of enemies of the church and heretics, his disdain with the Sabbath, although his second name was Sabatini. So after the Vandals, Ostrogoths, those 3 horns were plucked up, Justinian started to make place for the papacy. This is recorded history. And what is he doing? He's strengthening the Roman Empire through church or religion. And it said again, he said the quest for unification of the empire by unification of the church, the fever for church building projects with his wife Theodora, the persecution of enemies of the church and heretics, his disdain with the Sabbath, although his second name was Sabatini,
his support for suppressing any eschatological fever in line with the church fathers, and also Arminius, and yet trying to build the kingdom of God on earth. So this is what Justinian is establishing. In 538, he said he had a disdain for the Sabbath. So what do you think would happen to the individuals that were observing the Sabbath? You would be overtaken. Let's read some stuff here. Read it again.
I consider the horns, and behold, there came up among them another little horn, before whom there were 3 of the first horns plucked up by the roots. And behold, in this horn were eyes like the eyes of man, and a mouth speaking great things. I beheld till the thrones were cast down, and the Ancient of Days did sit, whose garment was white as snow, and the hair of his head like the pure wool.
That's Jesus. But we ain't concerned with it. We got another lesson to show you all this to break this down further. Verse 17. Go ahead.
These great beasts, which are 4 kings, which shall rise out of the earth.
We concerned about this last one though. Verse 20. Well, verse 19, I'm sorry.
Then I would know the truth of the 4 beasts, which was diverse from all the others, exceeding dreadful, whose teeth were of iron, and his nails of brass, which devoured, breaking pieces, and stamped the residue with his feet.
Go ahead.
And of the 10 horns that were in his head, and of the other which came up, and before whom 3 fell, even of that horn that had eyes, and a mouth that spake very great things, whose look was more stout than his fellows.
What did he do?
I beheld, and the same horn made war with the saints, and prevailed against them.
Right, so this office was this religious horn, this papacy, it made war with the saints. And we see it with Justinian, he started to bring in this Catholicism or this papacy or this control through religion, control of the Roman Empire. Because this was when Rome was weak, as we discovered last week, that the Lord would establish a kingdom when the Roman Empire became weak. It had to be strengthened though. So we back here. It says all this indicate the problem. 538 was for the Roman Empire and the Catholic Church. Archaeological and historical original sources of Justinian and contemporaries of popes, biographer of Justinian and the commentator on Revelation are very revealing of these times and the shift of transition of what belonged to the Roman Empire handed over since 530 AD to the church and the papal function. This happened after the 3 were plucked up and the religious horn came through, right? Speaking great things, and he overcame the saints. How long would he do this? Where you at?
22.
22? Let's see. Go ahead.
Until the Ancient of Days came,
Uh-huh.
and judgment was given to the saints of the Most High. And the time came that the saints possessed the kingdom.
Well, we ain't doing that yet. But we seen in the time of when the Roman Empire was weak, the Lord came and established a kingdom. And we learned last week that he's building it. The kingdom of heaven is here and is being established. It's been growing since then. Verse 24.
And the 10 horns out of this kingdom are 10 kings that shall arise, and another shall arise after them. And he shall be diverse from the first, and he shall subdue 3 kings.
We saw that. He plucked up 3 by the roots. Go ahead.
And he shall speak great words against the Most High, and shall wear out the saints of the Most High, and think to change times and laws.
How long?
And they shall be given into his hand until a time and times and the dividing of time.
Well, we see the church in Revelation 12, the woman was persecuted, and she had to go into the wilderness for 1,260 days, right? In other places, you can read in, Revelation 11, 40 and 2 months. So we see here a times and dividing the times, right? And we've been taught that it's 3.5 literal years. So literally only 3.5 years. I think this goes a little farther than that. Prophetic years. But let's see. Because it said he's going to change times and laws. And this has been going on for a long time. many saints have been killed due to this papacy. Many people have been killed. For thousands of years, people were getting killed through religion, even to the point they would be killing you and beating on you to say the name Jesus, all of that. All these torture instruments through the, what is that, the Roman Inquisitions and all of that, that's through religion. But they were speaking great words against the Most High. Remember, he had disdain for the Sabbath. So now it says the code of Justinian was a persecuting instrument. Justinian upheld Constantine, prohibited light travel and preparation of food and cleaning the house. Justinian instituted a 7-day Sabbath persecution. He changed the times and laws ad hoc as Novella the 14th or something, I can't read that, in coins of 538 AD. That's what they indicate. It says private gatherings were persecuted. He had church manual laws. Justinian studied systematic theology on the nature of Christ and wrote homiletical rules for preachers. He gave text critical advice to Jews and condemned their doctrinal deviations. This theological hobby of the ruler of the once mighty Roman Empire was to be taken over by a more theological, competent power that would eventually lead to papal Caesarism until the unsettling of this new aggrandizing paradigm in 1798 by Napoleon. So from 538 to 1798, how many years is that? Sound like 1,260 years. Is this a coincidence? And if the papacy have been killing people for that long, of course the church needs to flee somewhere. Of course the church needs protection. Of course. So we're just giving you a little insight on that. That's all. We're just giving you a little insight on our view, or at least, I mean, nobody in here even gotta believe it. But this is an insight on why we coming up with what we coming up with. It didn't fall out the air, and people are not mad. Like they claim, oh, brother only teaching this way because he mad. Like, so I'm gonna teach the Bible wrong because I'm mad at somebody. That don't make no sense. All these claims, all this slander, keep it up. We invite it. But that's not going to change the scriptures nor history. So that's up to you. If you want to waste your time with somebody that's I guess lying, you waste your time then. What about me for? Anyway, we'll do a deeper breakdown on all this stuff. This is just, I just told you yesterday that I'll show you Revelation 12 a little bit and how we see it. Whether it's 3.5 years, we can read history on people fleeing Jerusalem in 66 AD. Again, I gave you sources here. We can see when the papacy was established by Justinian in his codes, when he sought to change times and laws, starting in 538 until Napoleon took that office down in 1798. And I guess we can read one more, Revelation 13. Because, you get enough what this means. You know what I mean? Revelations 13. Revelations 13. Like I said, when Israel got taken off into captivity, that kicked off the tribulation and it spread throughout the world. Look around the world. You got nations being nuked and all type of stuff. Like I said, with Hiroshima, however you say it. Not one of them places over there, they still suffering the effects. People born with no arms, all type of. You tell me that's not tribulation. You got people eating dirt cookies and they don't have nothing to eat. They just making stuff out of mud, eating it. Come on, man. Revelations 13:1. Go ahead.
And I stood upon the sand of the sea and saw a beast rise up out of the sea, having 7 heads and 10 horns. Upon his horns 10 crowns, and upon his heads the name of blasphemy. And the beast which I saw was like unto a leopard, and his feet were as the feet of a bear, and his mouth as the mouth of a lion. And the dragon gave him his power and his seat and great authority.
Now I was separating. It said the dragon gave him his seat, power, and authority. Go ahead.
And I saw one of his heads as it were wounded to death, and his deadly wound was healed. And all the world wondered after the beast.
Okay, deadly wound was healed. I mean, Rome was wounded. It was weak, but it was strengthened through the papacy. It kept it up for 1,260 years. Go ahead.
And they worshiped the dragon, which gave power unto the beast.
Look, go ahead.
And they worshiped the beast, saying, who is like unto the beast? Who was able to make war with him?
Stand with us. Go ahead. What else was he doing?
And there was given unto him a mouth speaking great things and blasphemies. And power was given unto him to continue 42 months.
How long was they speaking great things? They were changing times and laws for quite some time. About 1260. Go ahead and read.
And he opened his mouth in blasphemy against God, to blaspheme his name and his tabernacle and them that dwell in heaven.
What else?
And it was given unto him to make war with the saints and to overcome them. And power was given him over all kindreds and tongues and nations.
They was rocking for quite some time. And he was killing saints. Don't think from people act like no saints was being killed or something. Saints was getting killed by the Roman religion. You know, man, a lot of people was getting killed. A lot of servants of God. Let you try to keep the Sabbath day, the 7-day Sabbath, as is mentioned. Let you try to keep it back when they was around. You would have had to flee too, then, wouldn't you? Or you'd be killed. But let's see. Go ahead.
And all that dwell upon the earth shall worship him, whose names are not written in the book of life of the Lamb slain from the foundation of the world.
That's how everybody became Roman Catholic for the most part. Even you claim to be Muslim, that came out of the Roman Catholic. That's how you got to where you at now. Everything we do is from Roman Catholic. And they inherited from the Greeks down to Babylon to Egypt, all of that. Go ahead and read. Let's see.
If any man have an ear, let him hear.
If any man have an ear, let him hear. What are you going to say now? Go ahead.
He that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity.
But who led Israel into captivity? Anybody know? Well, in Luke 21, it'll tell you that you would go into captivity when you see these Roman armies come in. But anyway, go ahead.
He that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword.
And then what are you going to say?
Here's the patience and the faith of the saints.
Okay, go ahead.
And I beheld another beast coming up out of the earth.
So that beast was done with, and another beast came up. And what was up with him?
And he had 2 horns like a lamb, and he spake as a dragon.
And what did he do?
And he exercises all the power of the first beast before him.
So he exercised all the power of the first beast before him, right? And what did he do?
And he causes the earth and them that dwell therein to worship the first beast, whose deadly wound was healed.
Well, that was wrong, right? So this new beast came up. Now, we've been talking about kingdoms from this point on. So when it say he, is it talking about a man? And we're going to make this a man? But everything else was talking about kingdoms. He said, I beheld another beast coming out of the earth, and he had 2 horns like a lamb, and he spake as a dragon. Is this talking about a person, or is it talking about a kingdom? Because the ones above was talking about a kingdom. All the other beasts was kingdoms. Now this is a man. And this beast right here is telling you the words of the previous one. Anybody know what beast came up or what kingdom came to rule the world after Rome? Anybody know? Anybody? No, this is class participation. When after Rome got destroyed, did any other nation come up as world power? No. It was no world power after Rome. Through who? United States didn't come up to become a world power after that. In 17, what was the Declaration of Independence signed? 17 what? 1776, and the papacy was destroyed by 1798. So who was on the rise? And America is referred to as Little Rome or Second Rome. They was about to call DC Little Rome. Some people even call it that. You got the obelisk and everything. So what is America getting you to do? Are they gearing us to worship the one previous? I mean, it could be. This is just what we reading. This is what I'm reading. And it said another beast would come up and make you worship the one before. So another nation, because all these beasts will represent nation, another nation would come up and make you worship the one before. Because everything we do over here, they do over there, right? So who's gearing us toward that? What's the dominant language now? Is it Latin or English? It's English. But that's just a thought. Like, we could be wrong. At least we save room for us being wrong. We don't claim we know everything right because we still trying to learn. So give us that. All right, now let's get on the lesson. Because slavery, you know, with slavery, everybody built their wealth off our backs, right? No, that's where it started. The capital or imperialism. You can read that this article on your own. It got a lot of information. It said that the imperial Rome fell, or the papacy fell heir to imperial Rome. So it was about profit. We didn't get sent into slavery because we were just in trouble, even though that's why they were capitalizing off of that. They built the nation off us for free. So they shook the shackles off. Now you still working and you being oppressed, even in your wages. You don't even know you a slave. You work hard all day. You look at your boss, he ain't doing nothing. But he getting paid more than you. People come to America to get what? Rich, American dream. You want a part of the beast. You're a part of the beast system. If you look up the word Latinos, it means Roman citizen, right? Roman citizen or Latinos, and it means 666. It ain't just Vicar of Christ means 666. The Roman citizen or Latinos means 666. So if you're a product of Rome, if you're operating how they operate, well, you can have your part in this mark or this system. You're promoting it. That's why I don't understand people who work on the Sabbath and say, "Yeah, I just gotta do what I gotta do." Okay, you ain't a God though. You couldn't be. Okay, so we're just not gonna single everything out or exclude other information. Latinos 666, which means Roman citizen. United States is a product of Rome. That's why everybody come over here to get rich. He said, poor, you poor. He said, poor and rich. All of them trying to get a mark, or all of them trying to get a mark, or got the mark. Poor and rich. We just showing you the spiritual side of things, or you can wait for somebody to slap your forehead or your right hand. That's fine too. But it starts spiritually though. People come here and try to open up business. What you got to do? If you want to get rich, how do you do it? You got to oppress somebody, don't you? If you make a business deal with somebody, you're not going to split it with the people working for you, are you? How you going to get rich? How you going to make $1 million? Everybody wants your products and services. You're going to have to hire more people, right? In order to get rich, can you pay them a fair wage? Can you be fair and split it equally? Can you do that? If you're trying to get $1 million, can you do that if you split the profit equally among everybody? Can you get to $1 million? Well, you could, but everybody will get to $1 million by the time you get to it. That's how it's supposed to be. But no, you oppress people just like the Romans did. What they started slavery, they kicked it off. At least us spread throughout the world. I know the Syrians came. It wasn't that big. He said this would be a time like never before, and it spread out through the world. They took the shackles off. Now it don't matter what you look like. You are being oppressed. Ain't no way the whole nation is not eating. You got people, even in America, no plumbing, nothing. No lights, nothing. But they're not in tribulation because you ain't feeling no effects. But you keep your business open on the Sabbath. Or you make a business deal, you get a certain amount of money and you don't spread it equally. That's oppression. You got people living in poverty going to church. How that's working? People coming to church can't even put clothes on their kids' back. See, it's just a lot more to certain things. That's all. And this is concerning the Apostles' Doctrine. So let's go into Deuteronomy 15. My point is, if you're paying everybody fairly, it's gonna be hard to get. I mean, it's gonna take a while to get rich. Everybody will be rich with you if you're being fair. Because most of these people, man, they just go out to lunch. $1 million deal. Do they split with their workers? People be working at steel mills and all these places. They pay their rent, and they ain't even got enough for the necessities. The other necessities, excuse me, because rent is, you got to have a house at home. But even to the point where we got to rent, we're not even supposed to be doing that. People have been renting for 20 years. You done paid for the house twice. In some cases. We got people in Israel, they own houses, they rent out the houses, people done bought them 10 times over. But we think that's godly. No, you're a part of this beast system. That's what they did. That's how it started. That's oppression. I just letting y'all know. And if you think you're godly doing that, good luck with that. Deuteronomy 15:1. Go ahead. And it'll all be explained here. Deuteronomy 15:1. Go ahead.
At the end of every 7 years, thou shalt make a release.
So after 7 years, you shall make a release. Let's see.
And this is the manner of the release. Every creditor that lendeth unto his neighbor shall release it. He shall not exact it of his neighbor or of his brother, because it is called the Lord's release.
So if I send you some bread, because it's okay to let people borrow money, you ain't just got to give it away. But what the Messiah was telling us, don't even worry about it. It ain't nothing wrong with having somebody pay you back, but the Lord was like, man, just give it to them. Let them have it. But anyway, he said it's a year release, verse 3.
Of a foreigner thou mayest exact it again, but that which is done with thy brother, thine hand shall release.
So it said a foreigner, thou may exact it again. So after that year release, I'm coming back for it. At least I'm here. Could be wrong. It says of a foreigner, thou mayest exact it again, but that which is thine, my brother, thine hand shall release it. So community, your brethren, if you owe you something, year release, let it go. Go ahead and read.
Save when there shall be no poor among you.
Man, there's a possibility of having no poor among you. You see that right there? Ain't no need for no year release when everybody good. It said, save when there shall be no poor among you. Go ahead.
For the Lord shall greatly bless thee in the land which the Lord thy God giveth thee for an inheritance to possess it.
How's this going to happen? Go ahead.
Only if thou carefully hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God.
Only if thou carefully hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God. He said he's going to bless you. He said he's going to bless thee in the land in verse 4, which the Lord thy God giveth thee for an inheritance to possess it. Only if thou carefully hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God to what?
To observe to do all these commandments which I command thee this day.
What else?
For the Lord thy God blesses thee, as he promised thee. And thou shalt lend unto many nations, but thou shalt not borrow.
This is how it was supposed to be. It said, only if thou carefully hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God. See, most of us was born and raised not hearkening, which provided us a hard life. Because the system is already meant to make us a slave. On top of that, we not obeying God. That's why people be talking about the hustlers and the prostitutes and the strippers and all that. Well, who created this environment? Who's ruling us? Who's making it hard for us like this? What system is in place that people feel like they got to sell their body? What's going on? What system is in place where you got to steal, kill, and rob to just be okay? You're looking at the wrong individual. We have to address the source. And that's why these rulers got to come on down. That's why the Lord going to take them out. But he said, only if thou hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to observe to do all these commandments which I command thee this day. For the Lord thy God blessed thee, as he promised thee, and thou shalt lend unto many nations, but thou shalt not borrow, and thou shalt reign over many nations, but what?
But they shall not reign over thee.
This is how it was supposed to be. Go ahead and read.
If there be among you a poor man of one of thy brethren within any of thy gates in thy land, which the Lord thy God giveth thee,
What you got to do?
thou shalt not harden thine heart, nor shut thine hand from thy poor brother.
So if you have poor people around you, he said you should not harden your heart. Because that's the first thing you lose, you low on money, the first thing they say, man, you ain't been keeping the commandments, son. What you do? That's the first thing people go to when something happens. You may lose a job or something. The first thing they say, oh, you probably did something wrong. That's not good. What should you do instead? Go ahead. Verse 8.
But thou shalt open thine hand wide unto him.
Oh, whatever you need, I got you. This is talking to a nation of people. So if a nation of people is doing this, eventually ain't nobody going to be poor out of it. But it is titled the Apostles Doctrine. We're going to see how it blends in. He said, but thou shalt open thine hand wide unto him. Imagine, this on our level. Imagine if everybody that went to church is doing what we be doing. The people that are less fortunate, they would be good by now. How long have we been rocking for? Over a year? Imagine everybody that's claiming to believe in God was doing what we doing. We'll be good by now. Or they would be good, excuse me. Because it starts out with food and handouts. Then it turns into being able to provide property and shelter for them and all that. But we can only do so much. So we working towards that. That's the next step. And start to be able to develop a system where we can financially start to take care of these people, not just on the food tip, and each other. But we'll see. We'll get there, and we'll make sure it's in the Bible. I don't want nobody wild on me. We'll make sure it's in there. He said, but thou shalt open thine hand wide unto him, and shalt surely lend him what?
Sufficient for his needs.
You gotta give him more than enough. He said, open wide. Give him more than enough. Whatever you need, you got it. Go ahead.
And that which he wanted.
What else?
Beware that there be not a thought in thy wicked heart, saying, the 7th year of release is at hand, and that I be evil against thy poor brother.
Oh, you only asking because you know you ain't got to pay it back. Lord's like, beware lest that thought enter into your wicked heart. He called it a wicked heart. He said, beware that there be not a thought in thy wicked heart, saying, the 7th year, the year of release is at hand, and thine eye be evil against thy poor brother. And what?
And thou givest him not. And he cried to the Lord against thee, and it be sin unto thee.
This is one thing you don't want. Because these people going to start crying to the Lord, and the Lord going to wonder why he crying. And all he got to do is replay an incident that happened a couple hours earlier. You was probably the last person they felt comfortable asking, and you didn't help them. Now they crying to the Lord, and the Lord looked down like, what's going on? And he going to be angry. Go ahead and read.
Thou shalt surely give him, and thine heart shall not be grieved.
You better give it to him, and your heart bet not be grieved. Go ahead.
When thou givest unto him, because that for this thing the Lord thy God shall bless thee in all thy works.
Oh, you want to be blessed in all your works? You better give it to him. Thou shalt surely give him, and thine heart shall not be grieved when thou givest unto him, because that for this thing the Lord thy God shall bless thee in all thy works, and what?
And in all that thou puttest thine hand unto.
What it says?
The portion shall never cease out of land.
You always have to put work out. Somebody new will be coming in. But it's okay. Go ahead.
Hand water to thy brother, to thy poor, and to thy needy in thy land.
So he said you better get used to it, because he said the poor ain't gonna never fail. So you better get used to this. You better practice this. Go ahead and read.
And if that brother, an Hebrew man or a Hebrew woman, be sold unto thee and serve thee 6 years, then in the 7th year thou shalt him go free from thee.
Right. Look. Now you have people working for you. You got people working for you. You said, if thy brother, an Hebrew man or an Hebrew woman, be sold unto thee, and serve thee 6 years, then in the 7th year thou shalt let him go free from thee. Verse 13, look.
When thou sendest him out free from thee, thou shalt not let him go away empty.
He's working for you for 6 years. 7th year, you let him go free, and they better not leave empty. You better give them that package before they go. So you want to get into ownership and all that, you better be sure you know what you're doing. Because the Lord looking at all this stuff. You said that when thou sendest him out free from thee, thou shalt not let him go away empty. What should you do?
Thou shalt furnish him liberally out of thy flock,
Whatever they need. Go ahead.
and out of thy floor, and out of thy winepress.
So whatever you got, grab something out of all of it. Give him whatever. He said, thou shalt furnish him liberally. You make sure he's good. You make sure she's good. Out of thy flock, and out of thy floor, and out of thy winepress, of what?
Of that wherewith the Lord thy God hath blessed thee, thou shalt give unto him.
Imagine if these big old bosses, all these big old companies, when it's time for you to depart, you have to move or go to another company. Imagine if they did this. A lot of people would be okay, wouldn't they? But this is not going on. Rome wasn't doing none of this. Well, they helped enslave us, and that carried throughout the whole world. And now everybody's practicing this system of oppressing people. Ain't none of this happening no more. Verse 15. This is why it's important for Israel. Go ahead.
And thou shalt remember that thou was a bondman in the land of Egypt.
Right. The Lord, like, you got the nerve if you're going to do this, but you was a slave in Egypt. And what?
And the Lord thy God redeemed thee. Therefore I command thee this thing today.
Who was talking? The Lord was. He said, therefore I command thee this thing today. Go ahead.
And it shall be, if he say unto thee, I will not go away from thee, because he loveth thee and thine house, because he is well with thee, then thou shalt take an awl, and thrust it through his ear unto the door, and he shall be thy servant forever. And also unto thy maidservant thou shalt do likewise.
You got people that want to stay forever. This is how the Lord look at it. All right, you want to stay because you love him, huh? Okay. Put like a cattle, put it all through his ear. But some people don't want you to leave. Go ahead.
It shall not seem hard unto thee, when thou sendest him away free from thee, for he hath been worth a double hire servant to thee, and servant thee 6 years. And the Lord thy God shall bless thee in all that thou doest.
He said, it shall not seem hard unto thee when thou sendest him away free from thee, for he hath been worth a double hired servant to thee, and serving thee 6 years. And the Lord thy God shall bless thee in all that thou doest. Going to Deuteronomy 24. Imagine if these big old world powers and industries were doing all this. Imagine that. See why the Lord got to come back? All right. People don't even think we're in tribulation. That's tough, man. You might be part of the problem. They make it hard for you to help people too. They put everything on the technology. It's all on credit. So you ain't even got cash in your pocket. Come on, man. It's not no coincidence. You ain't even got cash in your pocket. And now all you thinking about, dang, I got to go to the ATM, and you ain't trying to do all that. But sometimes you just got to hit that UE. Like Ishmael was telling me last week. Somebody had dropped a wad of cash. He had to, this is before he was in the Word. I'm just letting you know. Somebody had dropped a wad of cash, and bruh had spent, was long gone down the road. And he had to think. So he had to hit that UE and make it happen. So when you see somebody in need, sometimes you got to hit that UE, hit that ATM real quick. All right. Where we at? Deuteronomy 24 and 6. Go ahead.
No man shall take the nether or upper millstone to pledge, for he had taken a man's life to pledge.
Yeah, that's how you eat. That's how you get your money. Go ahead.
If a man be found stealing any of his brethren of the children of Israel, let me restart that. If a man be found stealing any of his brethren of the children of Israel, and maketh merchandise of him, or selleth him, then that thief shall die, and thou shalt put away evil from among you.
Well, everybody know what a manseller is. That's what kidnappers for money and ransom and doing all that type of stuff. He said, if a man be found stealing any of his brethren of the children of Israel, and may give merchandise of him or selleth him, then that thief shall die, and thou shalt put away or put evil away from among you. All right. Verse 10. Go ahead.
When thou dost lend thy brother anything, thou shalt not go into his house to fetch his pledge.
Now I know people have experienced this type of stuff. What does it say again?
When thou dost lend thy brother anything, thou shalt not go into his house to fetch his pledge.
You ever been around people like, oh man, bro, still got my stuff, and they go in their crib and be tossing stuff and snatch their stuff back. According to God, you ain't supposed to do nothing like that. You had my DVD for 2 weeks, bro. You said you was gonna give it back in a couple of days, and you go in there. Something as simple as that. You don't even want you doing that. When thou, this is Deuteronomy 24:10. When thou dost lend thy brother anything, thou shalt not go into his house to fetch his pledge. What he say?
Thou shalt stand abroad, and the man to whom thou dost lend shall bring out the pledge abroad unto thee.
The Lord said, you better not go into his house. You better stand outside. He gonna go and get it for you. Go ahead and read.
And if the man be poor, thou shalt not sleep with his pledge.
You got something of a poor man, like I really needed that. And you hold on to it like, bro, really need it. Especially they ain't really got it like that. Especially when people give you stuff they really can't afford to give you, and you just take advantage of it. Man, the Lord see that too. What it say?
In any case, thou shalt deliver him the pledge again when the sun goeth down, that he may sleep in his own raiment.
You better be honest with people. I really can't get it to you. You gonna give it back to me tomorrow, really? And don't even be telling the truth. You don't even know what you did to their life over there. In any case, thou shalt deliver him the pledge again when the sun goes down, that he may sleep in his own raiment. And what?
And bless thee. And it shall be righteousness unto thee before the Lord thy God.
Skip on. Keep on reading. Go ahead.
Thou shalt not oppress and hire a servant.
Thou shalt not oppress and hire a servant. That is what?
That is poor and needy.
People oppress you or take advantage of you because they know you need it. They either know you need a job or need the money, so they make you do some demeaning things. Or they'll mistreat you because they know you need it. This is all wickedness we're not supposed to be doing. Well, this is a mentality of the world, though. Mentality of the beast, really. Because your bosses and all that, they mistreat you. They don't really care about you. Especially if you're working at a job that people don't respect. Where you don't need a college degree. Or if you got a high school diploma, that's all you need to be qualified to work there. They're going to definitely mistreat you. He said, thou shalt not oppress and hire a servant that is poor and needy. What else?
Whether he be of thy brother or of thy strangers that are in thy land within thy gates.
He's going to get a little more specific on how not to oppress and hire a servant that is poor and needy. He'll show you. Go ahead.
At his day thou shalt give him his hire.
At his day, thou shalt give him his hire. When he done working, better give him his money. Go ahead.
Neither shall the sun go down upon it.
Okay, so you make people really be needing help. They came to you to work. They really need the money, and you don't even give it to them. We know the world not doing this, but Israel not for sure not supposed to be doing this. And it's business owners in Israel. It's people that hire people to do stuff in Israel. And they don't do this. He said, at his day, thou shalt give him his hire, neither shall the sun go down upon it for what?
For he is poor and
set it. Go ahead.
For he is poor and set his heart upon it.
Man, I said, you said you don't pay me when I did. I said, that's what I was expecting. Why I didn't get it? He said, it setteth his heart upon it. Let's what?
Lest he cry against thee unto the Lord, and it be sin unto thee.
Man, you got to deal with God for that type of stuff. Tell you, there's a lot of things we need to be worried about. That's more important than if the Pope gonna go into Jerusalem, you got to leave America. It's a lot more stuff you need to really focus on than that. Trust and believe. Verse 17, especially this. Oh my goodness. What is it?
Thou shalt not pervert the judgment of the stranger, nor the fatherless.
And people will pervert judgment because they don't think nobody backing you. They don't think nobody backing you. They ain't worried about it. So they'll pervert judgment. Who do they prey on? The fatherless. The fatherless. Like, you don't have no help. I mean, I can treat you any way I want to. Thou shalt not pervert the judgment of the stranger, nor the fatherless, nor what?
Nor take a widow's raiment to pledge.
Nor take a widow's raiment to pledge. Go ahead.
But thou shalt remember that thou was a bondman in Egypt,
Uh-huh.
and the Lord thy God redeemed thee thence. Therefore I command thee to do this thing.
Well, you take it from a widow, though. You need to keep whatever. You don't need to take nothing of hers. That don't even make no sense. That's off limits. But man, it's a lot of stuff going on that needs to be. It's a lot of things going on that need attention. But folks worried about whether somebody lying or something or whatever is going on. People really angry or something, really angry. But you gotta worry about God being angry if you're not doing stuff like this, or if you're doing stuff you're not supposed to be doing. Verse 18.
But thou shalt remember that thou was a bondman in Egypt, and the Lord thy God redeemed thee thence. Therefore I command thee to do this thing.
All right, you got some land now. Okay, how you supposed to treat your land? Go ahead.
When thou cuttest down thy harvest in thy field, and hast forgot a sheaf in the field.
So you was cutting down your yard, you was reaping your fruit, and you didn't get everything. You supposed to go back and get it. I missed that. Go ahead.
Thou shalt not go again to fetch it. It shall be for the stranger, for the fatherless, and for the widow.
Oh, so even everything that belonged to you in your land, you don't grab everything? If you forgot something, don't worry about it. That ain't for you anyway. It's for somebody who really needed somebody less fortunate. He said, when thou cuttest down thine harvest in thy field, and hast forgot a sheep in the field, thou shalt not go again to fetch it. It shall be for the stranger, for the fatherless, and for the who?
For the widow.
And who he gonna bless? Go ahead.
That the Lord thy God may bless thee in all the work of thine hands.
What else?
When thou beatest thine olive tree, thou shalt not go over thy boughs again.
You only get to beat it one time. And we only get to beat the olive tree one time. Don't do it twice. Go ahead.
It shall be for the stranger, for the fatherless, and for the widow.
What else?
When thou gatherest the grapes of thy vineyard, thou shalt not glean it afterward. It shall be for the stranger, for the fatherless, and for the widow.
Whatever you get, one swoop, whatever is left, is for the stranger, the fatherless, and the widow. And what you need to remember, go ahead.
And thou shalt remember that thou was a bondman in the land of Egypt.
People don't even remember how we got over here and what we are looked at as over here. People forget that. You can tell because they treat someone that looked like them worse than the other people was treated. But we'll read some Bible stories about our own people oppressing our own people. He says, thou shalt remember that thou was a bondman, and where?
In the land of Egypt.
There what?
Therefore I command thee to do this thing.
Yeah. Let's go on to Deuteronomy 26. How much juice we got? Yeah. You can get in on the phone, can't you?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you can get on your tablet, can't you? All right, cool. Deuteronomy 26. Maybe an interruption in the video. Well, Brother Ant, he gonna get on it. He gonna make sure if it cut off, he'll just use a different camera. All right, because I've lost my charger. Deuteronomy 26 and 12. Deuteronomy 26 and 12. Go ahead and read.
When thou hast made an end of tithing all the tithes of thine increase the third year, which is the year of tithing, and hast given it unto the Levite, the stranger, the fatherless, and the widow, that they may eat within thy
That
gates.
they may eat
that they may eat within thy gates and
I'm
be
not trying to
filled.
be funny, but you can't eat no money. I'm not trying to be funny. You just can't eat money. He said, when thou hast made an end of tithing, all the tithes of thine increase, the third year was the year of tithing, and hast given it where? Where'd you give it to?
To the
To the
Levite.
Levite, because he didn't have no inheritance. To the stranger, to the fatherless, and the widow, that they may eat within thy gates and be filled. Go ahead and read.
Then thou shalt say before the Lord thy God, I have brought away the hallowed things out of mine house, and also have given them unto the Levite, and to the stranger, to the fatherless, and to the widow, according to all thy commandments which thou hast commanded me. I have not transgressed thy commandments, neither have I forgotten them.
Right. Go ahead. What else?
I have not eaten thereof in my mourning.
So you could go through something like, man, I'm gonna just eat this. He's like, nah, I'm not gonna do that either. Go ahead.
Neither have I taken away out thereof for any unclean use,
I ain't taking and use it for any other unclean use. Go ahead.
nor given out thereof for the
I
dead.
ain't poured out to my homies. Go ahead.
But I have hearkened to the voice of the Lord my God, and have done according to all that thou hast commanded me.
Uh-huh.
Look down from thy holy habitation, from heaven, and bless thy people Israel, and the land which thou hast given us, as thou swearest unto our fathers, a land that floweth with milk and honey.
Uh-huh.
This day the Lord thy God hath commanded thee to do these statutes and judgments. Thou shalt therefore keep and do them with all thine heart and with all thy soul. Thou hast avouched the Lord thy God this day to be thy God,
Thou hast avouched the Lord this day to be thy God. And what?
and to walk in his ways, and to keep his statutes and his commandments and his judgments, and to hearken unto his voice.
Uh-huh.
And the Lord hath avouched thee this day to be his peculiar people.
Oh, y'all made it. You wanted me, I wanted you. And you said you're gonna do this. All right, I got you. And the Lord have avowed thee this day to be his peculiar people. See, all this stuff we read in Deuteronomy 26, Deuteronomy 24, Deuteronomy, that's peculiar, because the world don't operate like we was reading. Shoot, let you go free after 6 years? Huh. And give you some money? Give you some I be missing the words, man. I need a dictionary next to me. Property, giving you material, giving you things, giving you gifts when you leave. Yeah, right. You're right. You better get out of there before they try to take something else from you. And the Lord have avowed thee this day to be his peculiar people, as he hath promised thee, and that thou shouldest keep all his commandments. And what?
And to make thee high above all nations which he has made.
Well, how could you be high above all nations if you pressing each other? That ain't gonna never happen. And to make thee high above all nations. If you operate how he tell you to operate, we wouldn't be in this position as a whole, would we? We'd be high above the nation. All nations was what?
Which he hath made in praise and in name and in honor. And that thou mayest be an holy people unto the Lord thy God, as he has spoken.
All right, so now let's look at some examples in the Bible of how we treated each other financially. Because even us taken into slavery, like I've been mentioning, it's all for money, for profit. Or am I tripping? It was for money. We built up all these nations. They profited big time. The difference now is it ain't just black folks getting mistreated or oppressed in wages. People work hard. People be really working hard and barely making it. And you tell me that's not tribulation. That's tough. Why don't you go talk to some of them and see if they love it here? Like a brother was talking to a sister not too long ago out in the street. And she said, I'm in tribulation right now. Come on now. We got to get way worse. Okay. We'll see. Nehemiah 5. You don't even understand it's been way worse. Nehemiah 5 and verse 1. Nehemiah 5 in verse 1. Go ahead.
And there was a great cry of the people and of their wives against their brethren the Jews.
So there was a great cry of the people and of their wives against their brethren, the Jews. Wow. Go ahead and read.
For there were that said, we are sons, and our daughters are many. Therefore we take up corn for them, that we may eat and live.
We taking up corn for them that we all may eat and live. We need some food. Go ahead.
Some also there were that said, we have mortgaged our land.
Man, we have mortgaged our lands. We put a lien against our homes or our lands. What else?
Vineyards. And
What else? In houses?
And houses.
That what?
That we might buy corn because of the dirt.
Because of the famine, because of the dirt. Go ahead. Let's see.
There were also that said, we have borrowed money for the king's tribute.
Man, they had to borrow money. We got to get a loan and all that, right? Go ahead.
And that upon our lands and vineyards.
Uh-huh.
Yet now our flesh is as the flesh of our brethren. Our children as their children. And lo, we bring into bondage our sons and our daughters to be servants. And some of our daughters are brought into bondage already. Neither is it in our power to redeem them. For other men have our lands and vineyards.
Man, we done mortgaged our land, so they own it. Now we sent our sons and daughters to be servants just so we can eat. But they crying against the Jews, though. Let's see. Go ahead.
And it was a very great anger.
You say what?
And I was very angry when I heard their cry in these words.
This Nehemiah, he said, I was very, because Nehemiah is the governor, or the Teshada. He's the governor. He said, when I heard these people and their complaints, I was angry. He said, and I was very angry when I heard their cry and these words. Go ahead.
Then I consulted with myself.
I consulted with myself, like, what's going on? What else?
And I rebuked the nobles.
The people in charge, the nobles, I rebuked them. Go ahead.
And the rulers, and said unto them,
What did he say unto them?
ye exact usury, every one of his brothers. And I set a great assembly against them.
You using your own people. You oppressing your own people. Just to eat. They got to mortgage their lands, vineyards, and houses. They got to sell their kids to y'all. They ain't even got no means to redeem them. So he said, man, I was angry when I heard stuff like this. Then I consulted with myself, and I rebuked the nobles and the rulers and said unto them, you exact usury, every one of his brothers. You ain't supposed to do that. And I set a great assembly against them. Oh, y'all the ones causing all this trouble? All right, he brought a great assembly. Y'all better fix it right now. Go ahead and read.
And I said unto them, we after our ability have redeemed our brethren the Jews.
He said, we after our ability have redeemed our brethren the Jews. Remember, they going back into the land, rebuilding the Jerusalem and the wall and all that. He said, and I said unto them, we after our ability have redeemed our brethren the Jews, which what?
Which were sold unto the heathen.
And what?
And will you even sell your brother?
Oh, will you sell your brother? You oppressing them. He said, and I said unto them, we after our ability have redeemed our brethren the Jews, which were sold unto the heathen. They was already being oppressed. Now you selling them? Go ahead.
Or shall they be sold unto us?
Or shall they be sold unto us? Go ahead.
Then held they their peace and found nothing to answer.
He said, and will you even sell your brother? Or shall they be sold unto us? Then they held their peace and found nothing to answer. Nobody have nothing to say. Should you be operating? Should you be treating your people this way? Come on now, they can't even eat. They gotta give over their houses just to eat. But these Israelites doing this to other Israelites. We just got out of captivity. Go ahead and read verse 9.
Also I said, it is not good that ye do. Ought ye not to walk in the fear of our God because of the reproach of the heathen, our enemies?
He said, also I said, it is not good that you do. Are you not to walk in the fear of our God because of the reproach of the heathen of our enemies? You want to go back into captivity too. This is the same stuff that got us in here. Go ahead and read.
I likewise, and my brethren and my servants might exact of them money and corn. I pray you Let us leave off this usury.
Hey, cut this usury stuff out. Give them what they need. Matter of fact, give them all their stuff back that y'all took. Go ahead.
Restore, I pray you, to them, even this day, their lands, their vineyards, their olive yards, and their houses. Also, the 100th part of the money.
Half the money.
The 100th part.
Give
of
them
the
all
money.
their money back. Good luck trying to ask for your money back today. It is so funny. Like Creflo Dollar, he's a known thief. And said, yeah, I've been teaching tithes wrong this whole time. But I ain't seen how money is about Creflo Dollar teaching tithes wrong. Why not? How did he teach it wrong? How was he teaching it wrong? It ain't 100 lessons how he talk about. Nothing. Like Israel, a jump on that. You might have to actually teach what tithes actually is there. Guess we're gonna hold off on that. He said, "Will say you to them even this day, their lands, their vineyards, their olive yards, their houses, like you own a house, and you know, church want you to sign your house over to them or something. Like, what kind of stuff is that? Restore, I pray you to them, even this day, their lands, the vineyards, the olive yards, and their houses. Also the what?
Also the 100th part of the money, and of the corn, the wine, and the oil that you exacted them.
Go ahead.
Then said they, we will restore them.
Oh, you better. He had an assembly with him. Yeah, y'all better restore all that. What if we put up on some of these churches and tell them to get back all the stuff they done stole from these folks? What if we start showing up at these stores and tell them, y'all need to pay these people fairly? Y'all making $1 million, $1 billion deals, and we still getting paid $15 an hour or $12 an hour in 2022, which I just hit for $1 billion. That don't make no sense. You think about owning your own business when you realize, or you trying to get rich, I don't think that's what God necessarily wanted for you. I mean, ain't nothing wrong with being rich, but most of the time it was inherited. But if you go, people say I'm self-made. Nah, you're not self-made. You had to exploit somebody. Ain't no way you hit $1 million with all these workers and they don't have $1 million. How you get $1 million? Somebody got ripped off somewhere. This is American dream. No.
I was waiting for
From the creed,
it. Right at home.
If I waited 120 or something, it'd be different.
He said if you weigh 120.
in the book. You just gotta take a look. I mean, I guess there's a difference with some when people trying to suppress information and then expose it to you, you know, expose the truth to you. We're gonna teach another lesson next week, right? Right, Steve? We're just gonna keep moving on. Good. All right. Well, what I leave off at? What I leave off at? We'll go back to 11 again.
Verse 12.
Go back to 11 again, just because I don't know where I got cut off at. Read 11 again. Go ahead.
Restore, I pray you, to them, even this day, their land.
Still picking up the mic, right? Oh, yeah, the computer, right? You got a computer. Okay, no doubt. All right, we're going to have to read a little louder. Go ahead.
Restore, I pray you, to them, even this day, their land, their vineyards, their olive yards, and their houses, also the 100th part of the money, and of the corn, the wine, and the oil that ye exact of them.
Who was oppressing these people? Give all that stuff back. Oh,
It's good.
don't turn it off. All right. I was about to say, any of y'all kids on punishment, come hold this. The rest of the class. All right. Thank you. All right, verse 11 again.
Restore, I pray you, to them, even this day, their land, their vineyards, their olive yards, and their houses, also the 100th part of the money, and of the corn, the wine, and the oil that ye exacted them.
Verse 12.
Then said they, we will restore them, and will require nothing of them. So will we do as thou say.
Man, they simple rights to eat. Shouldn't that be natural? The ability to eat and have a roof over your head? Shouldn't that be normal stuff? Cold on? That should be normal stuff. But look at all we got to do now to get it. See, we had our lands and all that. See, even back in the early 1900s, and at least they had everybody had a little home, regardless of how small it was. Had some little bit of land. Had like a sheep or something. They make clothes and stuff still. Everybody, mamas and grandmas, for the great grandma know how to knit and make stuff, don't they? But I mean, that's not even being taught no more because you're supposed to be solely dependent on them for everything. So when they decide they don't want to give you whatever you need, they're going to cut it off. That's why you need to get off of that. Get out the system. He said, cut the food stamps. They're going to cut them food stamps. You really have to spend some. Where all that money you didn't have to spend that? Where that's at? But this is why we have to establish our own. That's the point. Yeah. So he said, then said they, we will restore them and will require nothing of them. So will we do as thou sayest. Then what?
Then I called the priests and took an oath to them that they should do according to this promise. Also I shook my lap and said, so God shake out every man from his house and from his labor, and performeth not this promise. Even thus be he shaken out and empty. And all the congregation said, amen, and praise the Lord. And the people did according to this promise.
Just in case y'all wasn't sure how serious he was, when you got crumbs on you, he should. Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is how the Lord gonna do you. You don't want to give everybody their stuff back. You want to oppress the people? Yeah, just like this. That's what he's going to do to you. He's going to shake you out of whatever endeavors you got going on. Verse 14.
Moreover, from the time that I was appointed to be their governor in the land of Judah, from the 20th year even unto the 22nd year of Artaxerxes the king, that is 12 years, I and my brethren have not eaten the bread of the governor.
Right, he didn't even take nothing from them. He wouldn't take nothing from Artaxerxes and none of them. Yeah, right, but he wasn't taking none of it. Go ahead.
But the former governors that had been before me were chargeable unto the people.
The people that, he said, but the former governors that have been before me were chargeable unto the people. How?
And had taken of them bread and wine, besides 40 shekels of silver.
It said they had taken of them, taken of the people bread and wine besides the 40 shekels of silver. And we know the 40 shekels, that's what they gather once a year. He said even their servants did what?
Even their servants bear rule over the people.
So you got the people in charge taking their money, and the servants and the people that serve the people in charge, they ruling over the people. You just got oppression everywhere. And these Israelites doing this. He said, but the former governors that have been before me were charged unto the people, and have taken of them bread and wine besides the 40 shekels of silver. They want everything from you. What else?
Yeah, even their servants bear rule over the people.
So there wasn't enough for them to do it. The under people, the people that's right under them, they was ruling over the people, oppressing the people. Everybody doing it. Give me everything. Go ahead.
But so did not I, because of the fear of God.
I ain't do none of that because I fear God. It's gonna be a payback. It's gonna be a payback. But people want to run off. Good luck with that. You have more important matters to take care of first. Go ahead.
Yeah. Also, I continued in the work of this wall.
He continued in the work of this wall. What else?
Neither bought we any land. And all my servants were gathered unto the work.
He said we didn't spend no money on nothing. We was making sure that what the Lord prophesied for us to do was going to happen. We built this wall. Go ahead.
Moreover, there were at my table 150 of the Jews and rulers.
At my table, 150 Jews and rulers. Go ahead.
Besides those that came unto us from among the heathen that are about us.
That was besides the people that came to us from among the heathen. Go ahead.
Now that which was prepared for me daily was an ox and 6 choice sheep.
But he paid for all that. Go ahead.
Also fowls were prepared for me, and once in 10 days store of all sorts of wine. Yet for all this required not I the bread of the government, because the bondage was heavy upon this people.
I couldn't even be living lavishly or none of that, taking none of these people, because the bondage on the people was too heavy. I'm over here living like a king, but my people going through it. That doesn't make any sense. Go ahead.
Think upon me, my God.
That's why people don't think we're in tribulation, because they don't care. They don't care about nothing. They're not even really out here to see. The stuff we be seeing is heartbreaking. And you said it's going to get worse. For who? You that proud. Okay. That's really what it is. When the Lord pop up on you, you're gonna find out real quick. Think upon me, my God, for good, according to what?
To all that I've done for this people.
All right, let's go to Jeremiah 34. You say somewhere in what, Hosea or something? You said they be they be sleeping on ivory. They got these couches, nice couches, and they drink out of bowls. They drink wine out of bowls. They got all this abundance. And he said they don't even care about what happened to Joseph or Israel. It's in Hosea somewhere. But anyway, Hosea or Amos, one of the two. But anyway, Jeremiah 34. Amos 6. He say, I'm gonna just read it. This is Amos 6. He said, pass ye unto Canaan and see, and from this go ye to Hamath the great. Then go down to Geth of the Philistines. Be they better than these kingdoms? Or their border greater than your border? Talking to Israel. He said, ye that put far away the dead people. See, that's how people live. They put stuff far away. The dead people, they put it far away. And cause the seat of violence to come near. That lie upon beds of ivory, and stretch themselves upon their couches, and eat the lambs out of the flock, and the calves out of the midst of the stall, that chant to the sound of the viol, and invent to themselves instruments of music like David. They having a good old time. That drink wine in bowls, and anoint themselves with the cheap ointments, but they are not grieved for the affliction of Joseph. That's what you got going on right now. They don't even care what's happening in Israel or the people as a whole. Don't care. They living life, partying, they spread out on couches, got ivory, all of that. But he said, woe unto Zion. But anyway, Jeremiah 34. Jeremiah 34. And the reason we even read about the wilderness, even taught a lesson about the wilderness because it's in the Bible. And it's important for people to know. So we'll be moving on to something else, wherever the Lord directs us. Jeremiah 34. Oh, we moved on today. Okay. Jeremiah 34 and 8. Jeremiah 34 and 8. What did he say?
This is the word that came unto Jeremiah from the Lord. After that, the king Zedekiah had made a covenant with all the people which were at Jerusalem to proclaim liberty unto them.
Well, we're seeing something like that in Deuteronomy, what, 15? Year release? Let's see. Go ahead.
That every man shall let his manservant, and every man his maidservant, being a Hebrew or a Hebrewist, go free. That none should serve himself of them, to wit, of a Jew his brother.
He said that every man should let his manservant and every man his maidservant, being in Hebrew or in Hebrewist, go free, that none should serve himself of them to know of a Jew his brother. You're supposed to let all Israelites go free. Go ahead.
Now when all the princes and all the people which had entered into the covenant heard that everyone should let his manservant and everyone his maidservant go free, that none should serve themselves of them anymore, then they obeyed and let them go.
Well, the Lord said, you better do this. So he talked to the people in charge, the priests, not the priests, the princes, and all the people who had Hebrews and Hebrewisters under them. He said, let them go. That no man will serve himself of a Jew or to know his brother. So you shouldn't have them, slaving under you. Let them go. Okay, so they agreed at first, right? Or at least that's what they said, right? Go ahead.
But afterward they turned and caused the servants and the handmaids whom they had let go free to return.
People don't really want to let you go, and they'll make a way for you to come on back. They'll guilt you into coming back. It's funny how this stuff in the Bible, we can see it happening in 2022, 2021, 2020, 19, 18, 17, all the way back down here. But we try to go out to the Middle East. I would say we got some, again, bigger issues to worry about. It said, but afterward they turned and caused the servants and their handmaids whom they had let go free to return. And what did they do again?
And brought them into subjection for servants and for handmaids.
How does the Lord feel about that? Let's see.
Therefore the word of the Lord came to Jeremiah from the Lord, saying, thus saith the Lord, the God of Israel, I made a covenant with your fathers in the day that I brought them up, in the day that I brought them forth out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondmen.
What did he say?
Saying, at the end of 7 years, let ye go every man his brother in Hebrew.
We read that earlier, right? I told you at the end of 7 years, you got to let him go. And you got to give him a nice little package on the way out. Go ahead.
Which had been sold unto thee. And when he had served thee 6 years, thou shalt let him go free from thee. But your fathers hearkened not unto me, neither inclined their ears.
What else?
And ye were now turned, and had done right in my sight, and proclaiming liberty every man to his neighbor. And ye had made a covenant before me in the house which is called by my name.
He said that you were now turned, and had done right in my sight, and proclaiming liberty every man to his neighbor. And you have made a covenant before me in the house which is called by my name. Y'all had did it at first. Go ahead.
But ye turned and polluted my name.
You turned and polluted my name. And we wonder how we got to captivity. Well, you was practicing it here, and they ended up going into captivity with Babylon. And it just kept happening. Until finally, the worst time in history ever recorded is when Israel got taken into slavery and was getting slaughtered. Oh my goodness. But look what we're doing. We practicing stuff like this in the enemy's land now. And we think we deserve to go back anywhere over there? That's not adding up. He said you were now turned in verse 15 and have done right in my sight and proclaiming liberty every man to his neighbor. And you have made a covenant before me in the house which is called by my name. But you turned and polluted my name how?
He calls every man his servant, and every man his handmaid, whom he has set at liberty at their pleasure to return, and brought them into subjection, to be unto you for servants and for handmaids.
Therefore, I wonder how they did this. Oh, it's gonna be different this time. We got some better benefits for you this time. And you think you're getting another position, and it's the same one. Subjection plagued you. What the Lord stepped in. Go ahead.
Therefore, thus saith the Lord, ye have not hearkened unto me, and proclaimed liberty, every one to his brother, and every man to his neighbor. Behold, I proclaim a liberty for you, saith the Lord, to the sword, to the pestilence, and to the famine. And I will make you to be removed into all the kingdoms of the earth.
What kingdom we in? We ain't in Israel's kingdom. We removed up because of stuff like this. Cool. You want to treat your brothers like that? Okay, cool. So this is what I'm going to do for you. Therefore, thus saith the Lord, you have not hearkened unto me and proclaimed liberty everyone to his brother, and every man to his neighbor. Behold, I proclaim a liberty for you, saith the Lord, to the sword, to the pestilence, and to the famine. And I will make you to be removed into all the kingdoms of the earth. All right. Luke 22. Luke 22. Luke 22. You got people working for you. They say after 6 years, let them go. Give them a nice little package. They should be chilling out for a year at least. I mean, that seems like that's what it was set up to be. Say year release. You said even the land got to rest for a year. Let alone the human body. You know, you can put that 6-piece in. After 7. After 7, you free to chill. From what I heard, shoot, there's even jobs that to pay you or give you some benefits once you hit 7 years. They're doing more than Israelites. That's no better. And having the power to be a change. Luke 22 and 24. Luke 22 and 24. Go ahead.
And they shall fall by the edge of the sword.
Luke 22 and 24. I know what you want, but you can read it though, because he said it in Jeremiah 34. So that was a mistake, because it ain't on the paper, right? Maybe it wasn't a mistake. Luke 22 and 24. Go ahead.
And there was also a strife among them. Which of them should be accounted the greatest?
I was a strife among the disciples. Who's going to be the greatest? Let's see. Go ahead.
And he said unto them, the kings of the Gentiles exercise lordship over them. And they that exercise authority upon them are called benefactors.
So people rule over each other. That's how the Gentiles get down. They rule over each other. And the one in charge, you call them a benefactor. Go ahead.
But you shall not be so.
Huh?
But you should not be so.
So our system shouldn't even be set up how the Gentile system is, right? According to Jesus. Because he the one talking. He said unto them in verse 25, the kings of the Gentiles exercise lordship over them, and they that exercise authority upon them are called benefactors. Because they benefit or profit off of the people under them, don't they? That's what the Gentiles do. And you got Israel practicing. Everybody trying to get rich. The American dream. Even to the point they'll defile the Sabbath. because it may risk their dream. Or, they don't have a system set up where if they do end up losing this position due to the Sabbath, they're afraid that they won't be able to maintain what they have. Because that's just not what's being promoted or taught. How we supposed to take care of one another when somebody falls short. All these people. But no, go to the bank and get a loan. I don't see that being, I don't see how that was, I don't see that in the Bible like that. From what we're gonna read, because I read it already. What we're gonna read, I know some of you have, and pretty much everybody have. You're supposed to take care of one another. We're supposed to be able to go to you. Somebody with an issue or fell short somewhere, oh man, they threatening my job. Man, quit. Or don't quit. Let them fire you for not working on the Sabbath. We got you, but you don't have that. No, keep working because I need 10% of that. So I can build a bigger church or something, whatever I want to do. Because that's what you got going on. I figured I should be honest with you. That's what you got going on. Nobody should feel like they have to work on the Sabbath. So if you scared of losing your job, because nobody gonna help you. That's why. I feel you. But that's not the culture. That's not what Christ was teaching. We're supposed to take care of one another. But you got our churches, right? Israel, right? They talk about the Roman Catholic Church, but they'll send you to the Salvation Army, which is a product of the Roman Catholic Church. You talk about them and they go down there for help. It's not making sense to me, but we worried about whether or not the Pope going to Jerusalem again so we can leave America. That's tough. Verse 26.
But you shall not be so. But he that is greatest among you, let him be as the young.
So it's some great men in here. I can Texas, even Israel, period. It's some great men in Israel, but I'm talking about even amongst us, great men in here. There's some great men in here, both on the biblical side and both financial side and biblical. There's some great men in here, right? He said, but you shall not be so, but he that is greatest among you. And in here, you wouldn't even be able to tell who got it and who don't. You wouldn't be. Because everybody trying to, embody the spirit or the character of Christ. He said, but you shall not be so, but he that is greatest among you, let him be as the youngest. You can't even tell. You're not supposed to. And he that is what?
Chief, as he that does serve.
If you the chiefest, you're supposed to be as one that serves. Go ahead.
For whether it is greater, he that sitteth at meat, or he that serves.
Which one is greater? The one sitting at the table getting fed or the one feeding? The one serving or the one getting served? Go ahead.
Is not he that sitteth at meat?
Yeah, the one sitting is greater than the one that's serving them, of course. But what is Jesus saying? Go ahead.
But I am among you as he that serves.
I know I'm the one that's supposed to be getting served, and he's the one that can really say that. But no, you sit down. I got you. That's the mindset. Nobody should ever be feeling uncomfortable based on financial status. If somebody runs into an issue or anything, we there to pick them up. No question asked. But anyway, this has to be learned. Matthew 20. Because what we've been taught, every man for himself. It's every man for himself till you need help, right? I know it gets tough, man. It gets tough. Folks can't even be, some folks can't even ask for help. You gotta check that time record. Let me see if they're paying. Well, let me see how much they're paying. Huh? Hey, I'm just saying. Well, it shouldn't matter. Let me check that time record. Sis needs some bread. Let me check that time record. Check that. Let me check that real quick. I did. Matthew 20. And one. One for the camera.
Here,
He
man.
said it still don't matter even if you paying them tithes.
Oh, yeah, it don't matter either way. It don't matter if you're paying or not. You should be able to. It ain't even money anyway. But I still don't
You
get
still
it.
didn't get it.
What?
We're saying even if you pay the tithes, you
You
still
still
don't get the help when you need it.
Oh, yeah. I don't even focus on that. I know that. My point is, it shouldn't even be like that. Period.
Yeah.
I'm talking about directly. You ain't never think about why the IRS needs to know what you gave God since you're giving it to God. You ain't never think about that. What in the world? Wait a minute. Oh, you put on your taxes so you can get for paying. Give your money to God. You wanted some back or something. You want a tax break or something? That's why you need to give it to God. Let me show you my donation. Let me show. Since it's your time to God, let America pay you back for what you was giving to God. Okay. And that makes sense to people. Oh no, I just figured I'd be honest with you. You know what I mean? People are already mad at me. Why not tell the truth? Matthew 20:1. Matthew 20:1. Not that I really care. It's just gonna get worse. It's just gonna get worse. It's not gonna make me mad or anything. I'm just gonna keep preaching the word hard. Matthew 20:1. Go ahead and read.
For the kingdom of heaven is like unto a man.
So he tells us about the kingdom of heaven, ain't it? So this is very important. Go ahead.
For the kingdom of heaven is like unto a man that is an householder, which went out early in the morning to hire laborers into his vineyard.
Now he's hiring laborers into his vineyard. Okay, cool. Let's see.
And when he had agreed with the laborers for a penny a day, he sent them into his vineyard.
How much did he say he's gonna pay him?
1 penny a day.
1 penny. Go ahead.
And he went out about the third hour and saw others standing idle in the marketplace, and said unto them, Go ye also into the vineyard, and whatsoever is right I will give you. And they went their way.
And said unto them, Go ye also, verse 3, I'm sorry, and he went out about the third hour and saw others standing idle in the marketplace, and said unto them, Go ye also into the vineyard, and whatsoever is right. You see how he's trying to be fair, right? He gonna be fair. Whatever is right. And people know what is right and act like they don't. And that's confusing. Like you gotta beg for what's right nowadays. Israel or not Israel, in the truth, out the truth. You gotta do the same thing. There's no separation. He said, whatsoever is right, I will give you, and what?
And they went their way.
What else?
Again he went out about the 6th and 9th hour, and did likewise.
What else?
And about the 11th hour he went out, and found others standing idle, and said unto them, Why stand ye here all the day idle?
Y'all been sitting here all day not doing that? All right, I got something for you. Go ahead.
They say unto him, Because no man hath hired us.
Oh, they was trying to work. No man has hired us. People take advantage of that. Oh, nobody hired you? All right, cool. Come get abused by me. Go ahead and read.
He said unto them, Go ye also into the vineyard, and whatsoever is right.
And whatsoever is what?
And whatsoever is right,
Okay.
that shall ye receive.
Man, I could work for Jesus. He's going to give me whatever is right. Man. Verse 8. That's what it should be saying about us if we own business or anything. Somebody do any type of work for, oh yeah, I could work for Stead. He's going to pay me right. Listen, you know, and again, I can brag on other people. There's people in here right now that pay people right. If you even hear that you need some help, oh, come, I got you. But this is the type of behavior we need to be worldwide. Imagine this is worldwide. But again, the kingdom of heaven is within you. We got to be, it's going to come out of us. But everybody looking in the air. It's okay, though. Verse 8.
So when evening was come, the Lord of the vineyard said unto his steward, Call the laborers, and give them their hire, beginning from the last unto the first.
Beginning from who?
The last unto the first.
People been working out there all day. When the last got paid first, that's how the Lord get down. He's showing you the first gonna be last, and the last gonna be first. Don't let this world get you pumped up because you get paid a certain amount. Don't let it get you puffed up. What you do? Go ahead.
And when they came that were hired about the 11th hour, they received every man a penny.
They received every man a penny. Go ahead and read.
But when the first came, they supposed that they should have received more. And they likewise received every man a penny.
They thought they should get more. They've been working a little longer. Okay. Naturally, you would feel that way. But it was cool when nobody else was here, though. Go ahead.
And when they had received it, they murmured against the good man of the house,
Wow.
saying, these last have wrought but 1 hour, and thou hast made them equal unto us, which have borne the burden in the heat of the day.
Man, this is going to be tough. As we get into this lesson, it's going to get a little tougher and tougher. Because everybody make a whole, I don't even know what to say, man. The amount of money people make is a huge scale. It's a huge gap. So he said, saying, these last have wrought but 1 hour, and thou hast made them equal unto us. Because the Lord all about equality. He said, shoot, the one that's greater, he better be as one that served. And this is just another example of that. Okay, y'all been working all day. Y'all gonna get a penny, they gonna get a penny. He said equal. Go ahead.
But he answered one of them and said, friend, I do thee no wrong. Is not thou agree with me for a penny?
Well, man, I didn't even do you no wrong. You said it was good. You agreed to a penny? All right. I asked them what they wanted. Okay, a penny. All right. I got everybody a day's worth of work. That's really what a penny represented. I gave everybody a day's worth of work, profit. That day. Go ahead.
Take that dime in.
Man, you better take this money. Go ahead.
And go thy way. I will give unto this last, even as unto thee.
Hey, listen, I hear what you're saying. But you better take this money and go. I'm going to give it to you just like I'm going to give it to the last. Go ahead.
Is it not lawful for me to do what I will with my own? Is thine eye evil because I am good? So the last shall be first, and the first last.
So the last shall be first, and the first last. What was this an example of? Go ahead, you didn't finish it.
For many be called, but few chosen.
Many gonna be called, but few chosen. So a lot of people thinking they're doing the right thing, even to the point where they come out of their mouth and slander others and all that. But again, few gonna be chosen. Always remember that. 1 Samuel 30. First Samuel 30, and let's see David do the same type of thing. 1 Samuel 30 and 21. And this is when they took everything back. From the Amalekites and all that. All right, go ahead.
And David came to the 200 men, which were so faint that they could not follow David, whom they had made also to abide at the brook Besor. And they went forth to meet David, and to meet the people that were with him. And when David came near to the people, he saluted them. Then answered all the wicked men.
I'm sorry, we're gonna have to read a little higher real quick, so we can know where we're going with it. All right, read verse 16.
And when he had brought him down, behold, they were spread abroad upon all the earth, eating and drinking, dancing and dancing, because all of the great spoil that they had taken out of the land of the Philistines and out of the land of Judah. And David smote them from the twilight even unto the evening of the next day. And there escaped not a man of them, save 400 young men, which rode upon camels and fled. And David recovered all that the Amalekites had carried away. And David rescued his 2 wives.
What else?
And there was nothing lacking to them, neither small nor great.
There was nothing lacking to them, neither small nor great. Go ahead.
Neither sons nor daughters, neither spoils, nor anything that they had taken of them. David recovered all. And David took all the flocks and the herds, which they drave before those other cattle, and said, This is David's spoil.
Uh-huh.
And David came to the 200 men, which were so faint that they could not follow.
All right, you had 200 men that was so faint they couldn't even follow him to finish the rest of the stuff over here, to recover everything. So they didn't go. Go ahead.
Whom they had made also to fire at the brook-based sword.
They was like, man, y'all too tired. Y'all stay over here. Go ahead.
And they went forth to meet David and to meet the people that were with him. And when David came near to the people, he saluted them.
Verse 22, look.
Then answered all the wicked men and men of Belial.
Then answered all the wicked men and men of Belial. Of what?
Of those that went with David. And said, because they went not with us, we will not give them up of the spoil that we have recovered. Say to every man his wife and his children, that they may lead them away and depart.
Man, he said, we ain't giving them no extras. We only giving them back what belonged to them. But who was he referring to? The wicked man and the man of Belial. They're not godly people, right? Go ahead, let's see.
Then said David, you should not do so.
No, you're not doing that. That's what David said. He said, then said David, you shall not do so. What?
My brother, with that which the Lord hath given us, who hath preserved us and delivered the company that came against us into our hand, for who will hearken unto you in this matter?
Hey, you're not doing that. And who gonna listen to you in this matter? Because you don't want no smoke with me, is what David getting at. No, we're not doing that. And who gonna hearken to you in this matter? We're not doing none of this. Go ahead.
But as his part is that goeth down to the bottom, so shall his part be that tarrieth by the stuff. They shall part alike.
No, everybody was split, shared down equally. To the people that was over here by the stuff and the people that went down the war. Everybody getting a fair share. Go ahead.
And it was so from that day forward that he made it a statute and an ordinance for Israel unto this day. And
And it was so from that day forward that he made it a statute and an ordinance for Israel until this day. Everybody gonna get a fair share, split down equal, no matter where you was at. That's what that goes with the 1 Corinthians 12 about different offices. And the eye can't be upset because he had the ear. That's all equally important. Everybody is equally important. You don't have a janitor, you're going to feel that. You're going to feel it. Just like if you didn't have a manager, you're going to feel it too. So everybody equally important. That's the point. All right. We good. That's all we need to see out of there. Go to Luke 18. Luke 18. What time do we start? 3. 3. We doing just fine. Luke 18 and 35. Luke 18 and 35. Go ahead.
And it came to pass that as he was come nigh to Jericho, a certain blind man sat by the wayside begging.
He was what?
Begging.
He was begging. The Lord just ignored him. He was like, man, stop begging, man. Did he ignore him? Did he ignore him instead? No. Keep reading.
And hearing the multitude pass by, he asked what it meant. And they told him that Jesus of Nazareth was passing by.
Mm-hmm.
And he cried, saying, Jesus, thou son of David, have mercy on me. And they which went before rebuked him, that he should hold his peace.
They was like, man, be quiet, man. Doing all that begging, man. Go ahead.
But he cried so much the more.
Uh-huh.
Thou son of David, have mercy on me. And Jesus stood and commanded him to be brought unto him.
Uh-huh.
And when he was come near, he asked him, saying, what would thou that I should do unto thee? And he said, Lord, that I may receive my sight.
Hey, so you can't lose faith. No matter how long it takes to get the Lord's attention, you got to keep on trying. But my point here is he was begging to the Lord. He was begging. And some people have you stop begging. Stop asking. But he's like, no, I'm going to get louder. He said, and Jesus stood and commanded him to be brought unto him. And when he was come near, he asked him, saying, what wilt thou that I shall do unto thee? And he said, Lord, that I may receive my sight. Go ahead.
And Jesus said unto him, receive thy sight. Thy faith has saved thee. And immediately he received his sight and followed him, glorifying God. And all the people, when they saw it, gave praise unto God.
Right. So we're just looking at the begging aspect. Where we see they were trying to tell him to stop, but he got louder and he was helped by God. Well, we'll see why we read that. 1 John 3. 1 John 3 and verse 10. 1 John 3 and 10. Go ahead.
In this the children of God are manifest, and the children of the devil. Whosoever doeth not righteousness is not of God, neither he that loveth not his brother.
So if you don't do righteousness, you're not of God, and if you don't love your brother, you ain't of God either. Go ahead.
For this is the message that ye heard from the beginning, that we should love one another.
Okay. You heard this message from the beginning that we should love one another. You're going to get a little more specific. Go ahead.
Not as Cain, who was of that wicked one, and slew his brother.
He killed his brother. It said, not as Cain, who was of that wicked one, and slew his brother. And let's see why he did it. Go ahead.
And wherefore slew he him? Because his own works were evil, and his brother's righteous.
People be hating people because their own works is wicked. People get mad at you for obeying God because they're not doing it. They try to corrupt you or something. And they can't do it, so they end up, they start with the words and then come action, of course. But this is what goes on. Why Cain kill Abel? Because his own works were evil and his brother's righteous. Verse 13, look what it says.
Marvel not, my brother, if the world hate you.
Don't marvel when the world hates you. People with the worldly mindset, don't even marvel. Don't be surprised when they hate you. Why you don't be surprised? Go ahead.
We know that we have passed from death unto life.
Whoa. That means we have passed from death to life. What we saw last week, how the Lord was establishing the kingdom, and it was at hand, right? Wow. And this is a sign that you win it, ain't it? We know that we have passed from death unto life because what?
Because we love the brother.
Because we do what again?
We love the brother.
Okay, let's see.
He that loveth not his brother abideth in death.
If you're not loving your brother, you on the death list. You out of the kingdom. Go ahead, let's see.
Whosoever hateth his brother is a murderer.
If you simply hate your brother, you a murderer. Go ahead.
And ye know that no murderer has eternal life abiding in him.
Bottom line. Let's keep reading.
Hereby perceive we the love of God.
Now we're trying to perceive or understand the love of God. Okay, go ahead.
Because he hath laid down his life for us. And we ought to lay down our lives for the brother.
Now he's speaking of him giving up his body or his flesh for his brethren. And what is he going to compare it to? Go ahead.
But whoso hath this world's good, and seeth his brother have need, and shutteth up his bowels of compassion from him, how dwelleth the love of God in him?
So you know your brother needs something, and you shut up your bowels of compassion from him. You know what that looks like? Somebody need help, and you tell them, man, keep the commandments, man. God bless you, keep the commandments. But you got it though. You about to drive, you got it. Hey, keep the commandments. You know what it says, Deuteronomy 28. In the beginning, it said you keep the commandments, you'll be blessed and all that. But you got the power to help them though. This is what we deal with in Israel. You got the power to help your brother, but you can't be inconvenienced. But we just read about the Lord laying down his life for us, brother. Then he compares it to you seeing your brother in need, and you shut up your bowels of compassion for him, and you think the love of God is in you. No, this last 2000, this is a new truck I'm trying to cop. I was saving this for some stupid stuff. But he's supposed to suffer though. Could have helped bro pay his rent or something. Could have helped sis pay her rent, fix a car or something. And you got it. But you tell them, man, I'm gonna pray for you. I'm gonna pray for you. Jesus know what he's talking about, don't he? He's talking about loving your brother, and if you don't love your brother, you abide in the darkness. People think they're in the light. I mean, to think you in the light and really in darkness is dangerous. But let's start at 16, and I'm gonna let you read it through. Go ahead.
Hereby perceive we the love of God, because he laid down his life for us. We ought to lay down our lives for the brother. But whoso hath this world's good, and seeth his brother have need, and shutteth up his bowels of compassion from him, how dwelleth the love of God in him?
It don't. He said, how? How does the love of God dwell in them? How? It's not in them. This is bottom line. It's not in them. You see that? It's not in you. Go ahead.
My little children, let us not love in
But
word.
that's all we get. They love you in word. Y'all pray for you. Don't help you at all, though. Let you struggle and starve and all that. My little children, let us not love in word. What?
Neither in tongue, but in deed and in truth.
But you're supposed to do it in deed and truth. What else?
And hereby we know that we are of the truth, and shall assure our hearts before him.
Uh-huh.
For if our heart condemn us, God is greater than our heart, and knoweth all things.
Uh-huh.
Love. If our heart condemn us not, then have we confidence toward God.
Man, you doing this stuff? Oh yeah, I look out. Anybody can come to me. Come to me. Anybody. Imagine if everybody had this mindset. And according to the power you got, you did this. Imagine if everybody did this. Shoot, Lord will probably be back by now. Shoot. He said, for if our heart condemn us, God is greater than our heart and knoweth all things. Beloved, if our heart condemn us not, then we have confidence toward God, and what will happen for us? Let's see.
And whatsoever we ask, we receive of him, because we keep his commandments and do those things that are pleasing in his sight.
Wow, what if we need something from God? He'll give it to us. Why? Because that's what we was doing. When we read that in Deuteronomy, you need to give and lend to him liberally so the Lord can bless you in the works of your hands. You can feel confident asking God for something. Because somebody asks you for something, you have no problem. You inconvenience yourself, or you lay down your life for them. You stop, you put your life on hold for them. We're getting into the Apostles Doctrine because we're dealing with Jesus now. And this is the mouth of an apostle. And this is how they was operating. Go ahead and read.
And this is his commandment, that we should believe on the name of his son, Jesus Christ, and love one another, as he gave us commandments.
Man, you see that love? In this context, he talking about providing for one another, helping one another. Man. Go ahead.
And he that keepeth his commandments dwelleth in him, and he in him. And hereby we know that he abides in us by the Spirit which he hath given us.
Let's go to Luke 18 again. Let's pick it up at 18 this time. Luke 18. Luke 18 and 18. All right. Luke 18 and 18. Go ahead.
And a certain ruler asked him, saying, Good master, what shall I do to inherit eternal life?
Mm-hmm.
And Jesus said unto him, Why callest thou me good? None is good save one, that is God.
The humility of Christ. Ain't nobody good but God. Go ahead and read.
Thou knowest the commandments.
You know the commandments already. Go ahead.
Do not commit adultery.
Uh-huh.
Do not kill.
Uh-huh.
Do not steal.
Uh-huh.
Do not bear false witness.
Uh-huh.
Honor thy father and thy mother.
It says, thou knowest the commandment. Do not commit adultery. Do not kill. Do not steal. Israel got a hard time with do not steal, don't they? They're robbing a lot of people. Do not bear false witness. They got a problem with that right now, don't they? Got a lot of people doing that. Honor thy father and thy mother. Verse 21, at least he was doing this. What it say?
And he said, all these have I kept from my youth up.
He said, all this stuff you telling me, I kept from my youth up. Let's see.
Now when Jesus heard these things, he said unto him,
All right.
yet lackest thou one thing.
You lacking one thing, though. Go ahead.
Sell all that thou hast and distribute unto the poor.
Oh, you need to sell all that you got and distribute it unto the poor. Go ahead.
And thou shalt have treasure in heaven. And come follow me.
Hey, if you distribute everything you have, give to the poor, come follow me. And you got treasure in heaven. This is crazy what he passed up on. Go ahead.
When he heard this, he was very sorrowful.
He got sad. Why?
For he was very rich.
Oh, he was very rich. He was attached to his riches. He said, man, make sure everybody, all the poor is good and come follow me. And he got sad. Go ahead.
And when Jesus saw that he was very sorrowful, he said, how hardly shall they that have riches enter into the kingdom of God?
The Lord saw him get upset. He's like, what? How hardly shall they have riches into the kingdom, enter into the kingdom of God? He looked at brother and said, he's like, man, how hardly shall they that have riches enter into the kingdom of God? What did he say?
For it is easier for a camel to go through a needle's eye than for a rich man to enter into the kingdom of God.
That's why all these rich men, they don't care about the poor and none of that. They don't care about oppressing you and robbing you and all of that. You don't understand they got rich off of stealing from you? You don't understand, huh? Go ahead.
And they that heard it say, who then can be saved?
Man, who they could be saying then? Go ahead.
And he said, the things which are impossible with men are possible with God.
Let's go into Mark 10. Let's read it again. Mark 10. Israel's crazy. The craziest people on the planet. Some of the holiest people on the planet. What? And that's being sarcastic. Mark 10 and 21. Mark 10 and 21. Wonder what the future's gonna hold. Mark 10 and 21. Go ahead.
Then Jesus, beholding him, loved him, and said unto him, one thing thou lackest, go thy way, sell whatsoever thou hast, and give to the poor, and thou shalt have treasure in heaven. And come, take up the cross and follow me.
Take up the cross, because your cross, obviously, you got a whole bunch of money, and he telling you got to give it up. Yeah, you're going to have to eat that. You want to follow me? Why is he talking about money and stuff? Because that's what people be emotionally attached to the most. That's what people transgress over. For the love of money is what? The root of all evil. The love of it. And that's what has America taught you to do. Love it. This is what you work. This is what you work for. Money. Money, money, money. Some people got that. Right? That's what they taught you. It's gonna get copyrighted and YouTube gonna take you there. They just teach us to covet all day. Every man for himself. You got a billion, you got a million, you got millions of dollars, you got too much money. Lord, like man, give it to the poor, and thou shalt have treasure in heaven, and come take up the cross and follow me. And let's see what happens.
And he was sad at the saying.
He got sad at that. No wonder nobody want to do it. People without money don't even want to do it. But you got to be sad at. Go ahead.
And went away grieved.
He did what?
And went away grieved.
Why?
For he had great possession.
He had great possessions. And what did the Lord say?
And Jesus looked round about and said unto his disciples, how hardly shall they that have riches enter into the kingdom of God?
He said again, same situation. He just cleared some things up. Let's see, keep reading.
And the disciples were astonished at his words.
He said they was astonished, like you can't be rich and get in. They was shocked. Let's see.
But Jesus answered again and said unto them, children, how hard it is for them that trust in riches to enter into the kingdom
He
of
had to
God.
clear it up. He said, children, how hard is it for them that trust in riches to enter into the kingdom of God? So you got riches, give you a type of mindset. You trusted in the fact that you got all this money and stuff. You do what you want to do. You treat people how you want to treat them. You trust in your riches. You don't share with nobody, or as many as you should. What did he say?
It is easier for a camel to go through the eye of a needle than for a rich man to enter into the kingdom of God.
Because it's their mindset. That's why it's going to be hard for them to get in. But what about the people who are giving to the poor? What about the people who are lending to their brother, their neighbor? He said the love of God dwells in those people. He said you pass from death to life when people are hating you. And you start getting enough people to start taking care of one another and release themselves from the oppressive system, oh, they coming after you. All right. Malachi chapter 3. Nobody cares if you keep the Sabbath or not. They ain't worried about that at all. It's a billion people that don't care about no doggone Sabbath. You ain't stopping no money doing that. I'm gonna take off work for the feast days. Like you really doing something. People out here starving and poor, don't have a home. You ain't putting a dent in nothing. Malachi chapter 3 and verse 1. Go ahead.
Behold, I will send my messenger, and he shall prepare the way before me. And the Lord whom ye seek shall suddenly come to his temple, even the messenger of the covenant, whom you delight in. Behold, he shall come, said the Lord of hosts.
Well, we know he told us that was Elijah preparing the way, and we know Jesus was there at that same time. Let's keep reading.
But who may abide the day of his coming? And who shall stand when he appears? For he is like a refiner's fire, and like fuller's soap.
Coming back too. Go ahead.
And he shall sit as a refiner and purifier of silver. And he shall purify the sons of Levi and purge them as gold and silver, that they may offer unto the Lord an offering in righteousness.
We'll start with that pure sacrifice. And everybody know what it represents now. When Levi is back instituted, everybody gonna know what these sacrifices and offerings meant. That pure lamb, that pure sacrifice. He said he shall sit as a refiner and purify of silver, and he shall purify the sons of Levi. Of course, he had to get them back right, because they was tripping. And purge them as gold and silver, that they may offer unto the Lord an offering in righteousness. Verse 4.
Then shall the offering of Judah and Jerusalem be pleasant unto the Lord, as in the days of old, as in former years.
All right, now pay attention. Verse 5.
And I will come near to you to judgment, and I will be a swift witness against the sorcerers.
He said, I will be a swift witness against the sorcerers. That's these people that be teaching the word of God. And you wonder why people under mind control, like it's a zombie land. Like it be blowing your mind the way people be acting. It's just like, oh, everybody tripping. It's like nobody can see anything. It's just all, it's like Twilight Zone. He said, I will come near to you to judgment. To who again? Did he say you? Mm-hmm. Okay. And I will be a swift witness against the sorcerers. And against what?
And against the adulterers. And against false words.
False prophets.
And against
That's why you better hold off on telling the future, because if you're wrong, you would be a false prophet. If you tell the future and it's wrong, that would be a false prophet. If people throwing that around. We talk about history. If anything, we false historians. Because we talking about stuff happening in the past. Excuse me. People telling us what's going to happen in the future and all this and that. They have a bigger problem if it don't come true. And even, matter of fact, because you can read Deuteronomy 13. He said, if a dreamer of dreams or a prophet tell you something that come to pass, and he tell you can go after other gods, he ain't sent for me. So you can prophesy all day, but if you telling me it's okay to do any pagan custom, bye. He said, I will come near to you to judgment, and I will be a swift witness against the sorcerers, and against the adulterers, and against the false swearers, and what?
And against those that oppress the hireling in his way.
Oh, you got people oppressing people in their wages. You know you're supposed to be splitting. Come on, you know what you got paid for. That's supposed to be split up. Well, unless you're trying to get rich, then you got to exploit somebody, don't you? You have to oppress somebody in their wages if you want to get rich. That's what the system is created. It started with free work, free labor on the backs of us. Then it just spread out through the world. That's how you can grind all day, grind all summer, and you can't even afford necessities. And that's not your relation. Come on now, that's tough. But you wouldn't work all week for you wouldn't take $10 an hour, would you? You getting 40 right now. Oh, you know, it's not a big deal, right? Take 10 an hour then and see if you can pay all your bills on $10 an hour. See. And see how you gonna feel. If you're in tribulation or not. Is it gonna hit home then? But if you walking around like it's not happening, he gonna make you feel it. He said, I will come near to you to judgment, and I will be a swift witness against the sorcerers and against the adulterers and against false swearers and against those that oppress highly in his wages. I don't want to be none of these people. Go ahead.
The widow and the fatherless, and that turn aside the stranger from his right.
You just mishandling everybody. He said the widow, you know, you feel like nobody can back her up. The fatherless, nobody will defend them, so you use them. And that turn aside the stranger from his right. Misuse the stranger as well. What else?
And fear not me, said the Lord of hosts.
But look what it says.
For I'm the Lord, I change not. Therefore, ye sons of Jacob are not consumed.
Yeah, I got mercy. You got time. That's the reason everybody not dead. Going to Numbers 35. This is Apostles Doctrine. We're going to see when we get to the end. We'll see. Numbers 35. Numbers 35. So you know Levi didn't have no inheritance, right? They had to get it from us, wherever they dwelt at. Numbers 35. Numbers 35 and verse 1. Go ahead.
And the Lord spake unto Moses in the plain of Moab by Jordan and Jericho, saying, command the children of Israel that they give unto the Levites of the inheritance of their possession cities to dwell in. And ye shall give also unto the Levites suburbs for the cities round about them.
All right, y'all possession, you got to give Levi somewhere to dwell at. Go ahead.
And the cities shall they have to dwell in. And the suburbs of them shall be for their cattle and for their goods and for all their beasts. And the suburbs of the cities, which ye shall give unto the Levites, shall reach from the wall of the city and outward 1,000 cubits round about.
You see how important land is, and beasts and all that? This will change a lot of things. Go ahead.
And ye shall measure from without the city on the east side 2,000 cubits, and on the south side 2,000 cubits, and on the west side 2,000 cubits, and on the north side 2,000 cubits. And the city shall be in the midst. This shall be to them the suburbs of the city.
It said, he shall measure from without the city on the east side 2,000, 2,000, 2,000, 2,000. That sounds equal to me, don't it? Well, of course it sounds equal to me, don't it? But that sounds equal to me, equal to you. That sounds equal, right? Equal. Go ahead.
And among the cities which ye shall give unto the Levites, there shall be 6 cities for refuge, which ye shall appoint for the manslave, that he may flee thither. And to them ye shall add 42 cities.
Verse 7.
So all the cities which ye shall give to the Levites shall be 48 cities. Them shall ye give with their suburbs.
All right, verse 8, this is what we want.
And the cities which ye shall give shall be of the possession of the children of Israel. From them that have many, ye shall give many.
So if you got a lot to give, you give a lot. Go ahead.
But from them that have few, ye shall give few.
But if you ain't got that much, you don't give that much. You give according to you have the power to give. That's equal. If you got a lot, you give a lot. If you don't have a lot, you can only give what you can. Duh, the Lord know that. So the Lord ain't trying to steal from nobody or take from nobody. It's all about things being what? Equal. Or you got people ruling over one each other and people starting to get oppressed. And the same cycles being repeated. And nobody making no changes. Because you want the Lord to come do it. You don't want to do nothing. You just want to run off somewhere and let the Lord fix everything when the kingdom of heaven is within you. You're supposed to be the change. But all we can do is read. Is that it?
Everyone shall give of his cities unto the Levites according to his inheritance, which he inherited.
Whatever you got, that's what you can give of. All right. Let's go on to 2 Corinthians 8. Got to read it in the New Testament. All right. 2 Corinthians 8 and 7. Go ahead.
Therefore, as ye abound in everything, in faith, in utterance, in knowledge, and in all diligence, and in your love to us, see that you abound in this grace also.
See that you abound in this grace also. Let's see.
I speak not by commandment, but by occasion of the forwardness of others, and to prove the sincerity of your love.
I speak not by commandment, but by the occasion of the forwardness of others, and to prove the sincerity of your love. Let's see.
For you know the grace of our Lord Jesus Christ, that though he was rich, yet for your sakes he became poor, that ye through his poverty might be rich.
Now remember, the Lord became poor, that through his poverty you might become rich. Let's see where he's going with this. Go ahead.
Herein I give my advice, for this is expedient for you, who hath begun before, not only to do, but also to be forward a year ago.
You was ready for this. Go ahead.
Now therefore perform the doing of it, that as there was a readiness to will, so there may be a performance also out of that which he had.
Yeah, he was ready to do this, right? All right, it's time to perform. Go ahead.
For if there be first a willing mind, it is accepted according to that a man had, and not according to that he had not.
Right, you can't give something you don't got. It's according to what you got. Go ahead.
For I mean not that other men be eased, and ye be burdened.
I'm not doing it so somebody can chill while you gotta take the brunt of something, or you be robbed or something. He said, for I mean not that other men be eased and you burdened. This is not for somebody to relax and they just live off of somebody. What is it about?
But by an equality.
It's about equality. That's what this whole thing's about. But since we went into captivity, starting in 70 AD, it ain't been about equality since. Everything, the system, everything been about oppression. Now, even the people that started off getting oppressing each other and other people, it just spread throughout the whole world. He said, for I mean not that other men be easy, you burden, but by equality that what?
That now at this time your abundance may be a supply for their wants.
See, now you are abounding and you can supply the lack in someone else. Go ahead.
That their abundance also may be a supply for your wants.
That when they abundant, it may supply when you not abounding. You're supposed to take care. The Lord control all of this. And you're supposed to be taking care of each other year round, ain't you? But we're not being taught stuff like this. No, just give it to me. And don't ask for it back. Don't ask for no help. Go pray. All right, go ahead.
That there may be equality.
Yes, sir. Is that it? No, keep going.
As it is written, he that had gathered much had nothing over, and he that had gathered little had no lack.
All right, all equal shares. This is Exodus 16. All right, 1 Corinthians 9. Some of this is hard to see when you've been told you're supposed to get rich and it's all for you, and that's what it's all about. But now you got to share. I got to share. I work hard for this. Oh, God didn't have nothing to do with it, huh? That's what it sounds like. 2 Corinthians 9. All right, go ahead.
For as touching the ministering to the saints, it is superfluous for me to write to you. For I know the forwardness of your minds, for which I boast of you to them of Macedonia, that Achaia was ready a year ago, and your zeal has provoked very many.
Man, it was ready to go a year ago. Your zeal provoked many. It's supposed to spread. It's supposed to be spreading throughout the world. This type of behavior, everybody taking care of one another, this is supposed to spread. Go ahead.
Yet I have sent the brethren, lest our boasting of you should be in vain in this behalf, that, as I said, you may be ready. Lest haply, if they of Macedonia come with me and find you unprepared.
He said, let's haply if they of Macedonia come with me and find you unprepared. What?
We say not, ye should be ashamed in this same comforted boasting.
Yeah, you're going to be ashamed y'all not ready. Go ahead.
Therefore I thought it necessary to exhort the brethren, that they will go before unto you, and make up beforehand your boundaries.
Yeah, so to avoid this happening, I told the brother to go ahead before and make up your bounty. Find out how much was needed. So y'all to be ready and put it forth. Go ahead.
Whereof you had noticed before, that the same might be ready, as a matter of bounty and out of covenant.
Yeah, it's not something we want. We ain't trying to do nothing of our own, wishes. It ain't about no covetousness. It's about need and equity and equality. Go ahead.
But this I say, he which soweth sparingly shall reap also sparingly.
But I'm going to let you know, you giving a little, that's what's going to come back to you. Go ahead.
And he that soweth bountifully shall reap also bountifully.
But if you give a lot, you're going to reap a lot. And people think this is about tithes or something. They can use this for tithes. But this talk about giving to one another. Wow. Go ahead.
Every man according as he proposes in his heart, so let him give, not grudgingly or of necessity, for God loves a cheerful giver.
Yeah, nobody gonna make you do nothing. If you feel like somebody make you do something, keep it. Keep your bread. For every man according as he proposes in his heart, so let him give. Not grudgingly or of necessity, for God loves a what?
Cheerful giver.
Okay, good. Go ahead.
God is able to make all grace abound toward you.
That's what he said when he told you to literally furnish these people in Deuteronomy. Poor, and your brother get poor. He's going to help him sufficiently. And the Lord going to bless you in the work of your hands. We're seeing that here. He said that God is able to make all grace abound towards you. What?
That ye always having all sufficiency in all things.
He can make it to where you always got more than enough. So no need to worry about anything in this case. He said that God is able to make all grace abound towards you, that ye always having all sufficiency in all things may what?
May abound to every good work.
Let's see. This is in Psalms 112, but he'll tell you here. Go ahead.
As it is written, he has dispersed abroad, he has given to the poor, his righteousness remaineth forever.
What else?
Now he that ministers seed to the sower, both ministereth bread for your food, and multiply your seed sown, and increases the fruit of your righteousness. Being enriched in everything to all bountifulness, which causes through us thanksgiving to God.
This is going to cause people to thank God. You know how many people struggling around the world? If we can change this, even in our own community, you know what we can do? Verse 12.
For this administration.
For what?
For this administration.
For the
administration of this service not only supplies the want of the saints, but it's abundant also by many thanksgiving unto God.
You're giving to God. There's many thanksgivings unto God. He said for the administration of this service not only supply the lack of the saints, but is abundant also by many thanksgivings unto God. Verse 13.
While by the experiment of this administration.
It said the experiment. It's like they bring something new. wasn't really new though, but it would be new. It's like people just hearing this, they be like, oh man, they talking about making up bounties. Like we gotta get to one, like we gotta make sure people good around here. That's why you gotta come up from out of that renting stuff. People be renting, like it was told to me, you gotta come out of renting stuff and start to own things. Because if you don't own anything, you're gonna be a slave to that the rest of your life. It's hard to, help anybody else. That's why people, who have homes, they're on the right path, because that has a chance of ending. When you just simply renting, they're not gonna let you have the crib once you end up paying for it. They're gonna keep taking that rent. As I mentioned before, people been renting for 30 years. They done paid for the house already. It still ain't there. That's robbery. That shouldn't be happening. My thing is, you try to get the own thing so you can remove that bondage. You be able to help other folks. But we're gonna do the best we can as we go try this experiment. It says, while by the experiment, that's your phone, you're joined by the doc? Oh, man. All right. Well, how much juice you got?
It's 8 up here.
8%. All right. Well, y'all, go ahead. We'll try to get as much as we can on that.
Was by the experiment of his ministration, they glorify God for your professed subjection unto the gospel of Christ, and for your liberal distribution unto them.
Your what?
Liberal distribution unto them.
Where's your liberal distribution going?
And unto all men.
Unto them and to all men. This money moving around. Everybody good. Go ahead.
And by that prayer for you.
And they praying for one another. That's tough. Of course they're going to pray for you. Somebody like that. Go ahead.
Which long after you, for the exceeding grace of God in you. Thanks be unto God for his unspeakable gift.
All right. Let's go into Acts 2. We might make it. Let's not be too excited in this one. Acts 2 and verse 36. Acts chapter 2 and verse 36. This is Apostles Doctrine. Was they moving money around and making sure this location was good? That location making sure they good. They making sure they good. These people need help. They making sure they good. It's going all around. Everybody good. And they're not a part of nobody's system. They take care of everybody. Acts 2 and 36. Go ahead.
Therefore let all the house of Israel know assuredly that God hath made that same Jesus, whom you have crucified, both Lord and Christ. Now when they heard this, they were pricked in their heart, and said unto Peter and to the rest of the apostles, men and brethren, what shall we do?
Keep going. There's supposed to be more on here. Go ahead.
Then Peter said unto them, repent and be baptized every one of you in the name of Jesus Christ for the remission of sins, and ye shall receive the gift of the Holy Ghost.
Verse 40.
And with many other words did he testify and exhort, saying, save yourselves from this untoward generation.
And what did it look like? Verse 42.
And they continued steadfastly in the Apostles' Doctrine.
Oh, that's where the title came from. And they continued steadfastly in the whose doctrine?
The Apostles' Doctrine.
What did it look like?
In fellowship, and in breaking of bread, and in prayer.
What else?
And fear came upon every soul. And many wonders and signs were done by the apostles.
Okay, and what happened?
And all that believed were together and had all things common.
They had all things common. What did it look like? Go ahead.
And sold their possessions and goods, and parted them to all men, as every man had need.
Man, so everybody not ready for this though. But this is what they were doing. This is Apostles Doctrine. People owning houses, can't nobody live in. No, you got. It's just too much going on. These are that sold their possessions and goods and imparted them to all men as every man had need. They preaching Jesus Christ and remission of sins. And then they said they continue steadfast in the Apostles' Doctrine. Now everybody making sure everything is common. Everybody being taken care of. All things is equal. People selling their houses and possessions, making sure everybody good. Acts 5. Let's see for the people who was playing Acts chapter 5. I'm gonna need that. I'm gonna need it from somebody's phone because I got the article on my phone here. We might make it though. How much juice we got?
I got 30% up here.
On the salad.
4.
We might make it. All right, go Acts 5:1, just in case you was playing and didn't want to do it, or act like you was and wasn't. Here you go, Acts 5. And 1, go ahead.
But a certain man named Ananias, with Sapphira his wife, sold a possession, kept back part of the price. His wife also being privy to it, and brought a certain part, and laid it at the apostles' feet. But Peter said, Ananias, why has Satan filled thine heart to lie to the Holy Ghost, and to keep back part of the price of the land? Whilst it remained, was it not thine own?
Yeah, it was your own. Why you even agree to doing this? It was your own. Go ahead.
And after it was sold, was it not in thine own power? Why hast thou conceived this thing in thine heart? Thou hast not lied unto men, but unto God.
You ain't lying unto men, you lying unto God. Go ahead.
And Ananias, hearing these words, fell down.
How do you even know what they did? The Holy Ghost told him, right? How do you even know? It's like somebody was like, yeah, Bible told his congregation you can read their mind. Like, man, that's all you picked up, bro. How you know they didn't give them money? Who told them? The Holy Ghost. Go ahead.
And gave up the ghost. And great fear came on all them that heard these things. And the young men arose, wound him up, and carried him out, and buried him.
Uh-huh.
And it was about the space of 3 hours after.
She had 3 hours to get her mind right. Go ahead.
When his wife, not knowing what was done, came in. And Peter answered unto her, tell me whether you sold the land for so much.
Tell me how much you sold the land for, because we need to make it count, man. Go ahead.
And she said, yea, for so much.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Then Peter said unto her, how is it that you have agreed together to tempt the Spirit of the Lord? Behold, the feet of them which have buried thy husband are at the door, and shall carry thee out. Then fell she down straightway at his feet, and yielded up the ghost. And the young men came in, and found her dead, and carrying her forth, buried her by her husband.
So this thing wasn't no joke then, what they was doing. All things common, people selling stuff. They wasn't playing with it, even to the point for the people that lied, they got killed. You decided you wasn't play around with it. You not gonna do it. Go ahead.
And the funny thing is, heard these things.
All right. So this is an article, because we know Christ died in what around 80, 30? Somewhere around there, right? 31, 30. So this is, we reading, I got an article. Again, I can't bring it up. This is the financial crisis of 33 AD. This is like right after Christ had died, a couple of years. And you got what these apostles are doing during the financial crisis of AD 33. So it says the year 33 AD was marked by 2 disturbances throughout the Roman Empire. The first was the crucifixion of Jesus Christ, who was tried before Pontius Pilate and then crucified to give rise to a new world order. Yeah, we read that last week, something like that. The other monumental event was the great financial panic of the same year that shook the Roman Empire to its core. Remember, we read last week that Imperial Rome, it got weakened, and it was strengthened for a time through the papacy. But anyway, this is just further history that complements what we read last week. So it says, like all great financial crises and panics, there were events preceding the financial calamity that went unnoticed until they erupted into a contagion that shook the very foundation of the financial system. So it says our story begins in 31 AD with the arrest and execution of Lucius alias Sanguinus, a former prefect of the Praetorian Guard, then consul of Rome and confidant of the emperor Tiberius. Then we read about him last week. He was around when Christ was around. So this is some more history. St. Janus was well connected with the financial elite in Rome and the banking houses, along with Via Sacra, the Wall Street of his day. It says St. Janus was involved in a plot to become emperor and Tiberius' successor. All right, that's just some groundwork. Let's get into how this stuff looks. It says, agriculture and land were by far the most important sector of the Roman economy next to trade. The value of land and the cost of lending, it soon became the epicenter of the crisis that followed. Cost of land and lending. Wow. The practice of usury had long plagued Rome, resulting in high interest rates. Wow, that sounds familiar. And harsh enforcement of contractual terms. This is AD 33. It sounds like 2022 a little bit, don't it? Julius Caesar attempted to remedy, told you, America, second wrong, little wrong. Come on now. Julius Caesar attempted to remedy the problem by passing a law requiring that creditors had to invest a certain portion of their capital in Italian land in order to lend at interest. The law fell into disuse over the following years after Caesar's death, but it remained on the books, forgotten until it was revived in 33 AD. In an attempt to support the Italian agriculture interest then in decline. I'm sorry, let me read that correctly. In an attempt to support the Italian agriculture interest then in decline, with confiscation of Sejanus' followers, the Senate with the assent of the emperor, Tiberius ordered 1/3 of every senator's fortune be invested in lands within Italy in an attempt to prop up falling price. So he said, make everybody give up 1/3 of your portion, try to prop up the value of the land. Failure to comply invited persecution, penalties, even death. Senators were given 18 months to comply with the new law. Time elapsed, and in 33 AD, panic developed as the rich senators scrambled to find capital to buy land. They began to call in all private loans and deposits with their bankers. Imagine all this going on in Rome, but you got Israel. They within the circle of each other, making sure everybody gets nobody panicking, but the world government, the world powers. This is Apostles Doctrine. Look how it's saved. Nobody in Israel panic. You see what they doing? We're reading about it. It says to make matters worse, as so often happens in times of financial panic, the Roman Senate doubled down on its resolution and passed a law requiring creditors to invest 2/3 of their capital in Italian land, and that all debtors pay back the amount of their loans. This was a massive deleveraging of the economy, an ancient version of the savings and loan crisis in the U.S. during late 80s and early 90s, resulting in the failure of 1,043 out of the 3,234 savings and loan associations between 1986 and 1995. See, it's pointing you to the future based on some things that happened way back in Rome in AD 33. And I told you, like I said, they call America Little Rome or Second Rome. But the point we were trying to pull out is you have a financial panic in AD 33 AD. And you see what they're doing. Israelites doing. So let's get back. I mean, I can read another one. Let me see. No, I think it's probably clear that they was going through a panic. Yeah. All right, let's read Acts 4 and we'll be done. So it's always good to own, take care of one another. Acts 4. Acts 4 and 31. Acts 4 and 31. Go ahead.
And when they had prayed, the place was shaken where they were assembled together. And they were all filled with the Holy Ghost. And they spake the word of God with boldness.
He said they were filled with the Holy Ghost. They spread the word of God with boldness. Go ahead.
And the multitude of them that believed were of one heart and of one soul.
They are one body, one heart, and one soul. Go ahead.
Neither said any of them that out of the things which he possessed was his own.
Neither the things which he had possessed was his own. He didn't even feel like whatever they owned, it wasn't even there. What you need? Go ahead.
They had all things come.
No wonder there was no panic going on. Go ahead.
And with great power gave the apostles witness of the resurrection of the Lord Jesus. And great grace was upon them all.
Jesus was involved in this, ain't he? It said great grace was upon them all. Look what else is going on.
Neither was there any among them that lacked.
Neither was there any among them that lacked. But nobody lacking. The Lord bless thee and keep thee.
The Lord make his face shine upon thee.
The Lord make his face shine upon thee and be gracious unto thee.
The Lord lift up his countenance upon thee.
The Lord lift up his countenance and give thee peace.
And they shall put my name upon the children of Israel.
And they shall put my name upon
I will bless them.
and I will bless them.
In Jesus' holy name we pray.
In Jesus'